the pandemic in India, and also contributed to helping several others outside the country. The purpose, and especially for the experts, we have Dr. Subodh Chaturvedi, we have Swapnil Mandoda, and we Mukesh and Kirti Pandey. So the purpose of showcasing our 10 startups that made a difference in the 2 years that was really unprecedented is to just take stock of what happened to these technologies, where they are today. And we also want to see if, from the experts, a little bit of comment on, is there a chance of actually doing something that the COVID is waned? Most probably we won't have another wave, while some people are saying, yes, there may be another in June, but even if we don't have, is there any preparations that the startups should be doing and what we could do? Because you've been in the field, you've seen it from various angles, from the industry, from as a clinician, from the policymakers. And the purpose is to basically showcase what startups we have supported. So the way we have supported this is by putting up a fund, a small fund, a very modest start, where IKP put in the ICO fund, IKP COVID fund, and BIRAC put in an equal amount of money to see how startups can be helped. So we supported about 25 startups, and we're presenting 10 of them here. I'll request Dr. Manish Diwan from BIRAC to say a few words, and then the way we will do it is we will take up first some of those who helped in managing the disease, and then 5 presenters, 5 to 6 minutes each, and then we will have comments from the experts on these, and then we will move to the next part, where we have those who prevented and helped prevent and control the disease. So we've just separated the technologies into 2 types. One is those who have management of disease and prevention and control of disease. And the next 1 hour will be devoted to those who will present on how they have helped in prevention of the disease. And we will again have the expert comments. And later on, maybe we'll have comments from the experts on, is there anything that you are seeing new that we should actually put a call together and fund some more activities around COVID. Over to you, Dr. Diwan.
Good morning, Dr. Dipanvita and IKP team. I'm very glad to be here with 10 successful startups. I would say successful, and along with the panelists and the experts. A very good morning to all of you. I think, as Dipanvita rightly said, we make efforts, and I think the biotech ecosystem has grown over a period of time, and we've been seeing that there are successful examples moving up from ideation to commercialization. At some point of time, it is also important to put things in context. And COVID provided that kind of a platform to all of us to recognize whether science and technology innovations could actually contribute directly at the time of need. And honestly, I am very pleased, just like each one of you, that your efforts, which got seeded several years ago, you could actually make best use of those efforts and facilitate addressing the pandemic with your own facilitation, with your own contribution. I think the 10 startups Dipanvita, this IKP team has put together gives you an ensemble of length and breadth of this ecosystem, which is ever growing since we started, like almost 10 years. BIRAC would be completing 10 years in on 20th of March this year. So and it, and that journey would not have been accomplished unless each one of you were contributing to that. So I think uh, it is important that we are realizing this. As I could see, for like sterilization or disinfecting hands, a micro ago, Rachna just visited, I think, Dubai Expo also. She can, highlight that provision. He will establish a manufacturing facility, and contributing a large component for the diagnostic self-sufficiency, Atmanirbharta to BIRAC. Dozy remote monitoring and teleconsultations. Parishodhana, a simple looking solution, but N95 mask, I proudly wear every day almost. So thanks to that. And like that, see, mental health issue from tic-tac-toe, portable, which is integrating AI solution, and Jeeptronics. I often give Jeeptronics example to many because we don't not only need solutions for resource rich, but as well as low resource settings. If you don't have electricity, how would you be able to use high-end machines, at the far end? So simple but thoughtful, strategic solutions which are led on the ground of solid footing of technology. I think that is the strength of the startups that are getting showcased here. So I must congratulate the team for shortlisting, identifying an exemplar bouquet of such startups. And I think it would be a treat for everybody who gets associated to this. And again, congratulations to all the startups who put in so much of hard work uh, in the last 2 years and connect with the society. I think the connect and the outreach and making people aware that what you are doing is meaningful to them in one way or the other for the healthcare delivery and addressing different issues. Rest of the alignments happen. I think investors look at you, the hospitals, the medtech industry look at you, and looking at you, from the borders. So they would be happy to engage and help you in building your journey more stronger going forward. With that, I will stop, Dipanvita. Back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manish, for putting all this in the right context. And I understand you're traveling. Thank you for taking time out. Because if one organization I have to name that really stood next to the startups and helped them, encouraged them to develop new solutions, it's BIRAC. Of course, there are all the ministries put up their best foot forward. Industry did, everybody did, but I think BIRAC, it served an exemplary, showed an exemplary direction in how the government can do when we need solutions, especially from small companies and fledgling companies, those who have the talent, but those who have the right ideas, but not the means to take it forward. So thank you so much. So the way, Vishu, you'd lead it is, first let's call Huel and the ones that have actually helped in managing the disease, and then we will get into the prevention and control. So yes, Vishu.
Sure, ma'am. And just want to add to what Dr. Divan was saying. Rachna is still in Dubai, sir. She agreed to join from there, and thank you so much. And today, all the teams are on the field, and they are joining from different places. So there is a small. Initially, we thought like how ma'am is saying disease, and some teams, in case if they are unable to join, we will adjust accordingly. And
yeah, please do that. Yeah, because I completely understand. Most of them are in the field, but yes, I completely agree with you.
just
Please.
to add, just another line, Dozy 2 years back from a 15-member team, now they are a 200-member plus team, and managing multiple locations. Today, Geotronics team is going for a quality audit. So huge developments, and we are very happy and very glad to see that you are spread out and you are unable to give full time to us. We're very happy in that. And with that, I would like to invite Powell's team, Dr. Shishir, who has established a GMP facility recently. Most of us were there.
Thanks for inviting Huel into this, and we are very fortunate to be part of it. And I really respect the idea of supporting all startups. I think IKP have done a tremendous part and have a very, very good role in our progress in scale-up. So initially, Huel started in 2015 to just give a background where we are today and where we are heading to, so that how this pandemic helped us to grow faster. So we have around 32 RT-PCR assays, and around we have around 4 to 5 lab-based assays, and we have also temperature stable, like room temperature stable, lyophilized RT-PCR kits right now. And we also have all enzymes pertaining to both real-time PCR, LAMP, and also in the pipeline are next-gen sequencing and CRISPR-based. And we also have extraction kits. So objective is to have end-to-end solution for all molecular diagnostics. So essentially the idea of becoming Atmanirbhar or to start complete stuff came in when there is no dearth of, there's lots of dearth of enzymes which our country is producing right now. So we didn't have any of the enzymes before COVID. And we didn't have any of the manufacturers who were making IVD quality enzymes in country. And we started initially with one enzyme and then subsequently extended to hot start Taq polymerase, which is essential for all this. And even currently, still country imports around 40 to 45% of these enzymes from either China, either the US, or different countries. So we currently manufacture end-to-end all enzymes, including reverse transcriptase, both thermostable as well as MMLV. And we do BST polymerase, which is used in LAMP-based assays. We also make master mixes, both for quick start. So right now we are also making very rapid real-time PCR assays, which is done in 15 minutes. So that is been done. Actually, we were 2017, we exited earlier company and started this company. So it's around 3 years old company, but you could see the lots of products. We engaged mostly in development of the products. And COVID struck in 2019 when we started working on single plex assay. And it was tough to get plastics at that time because we are still importing medical grade plastics. Plastics, we don't make a screw cap vial in country. So we had to work out with various vendors, develop molds. We have, we had one company called SIFBio, where we now currently Huel acquired that company. Earlier, we had other partners. Now it's a subsidiary of Huel Life Sciences, which make all sorts of plastics. And we make all vials which are used in kit right now in Huel. Apart from plastics which are used in kit manufacturing, we also use those plastics in making extraction kits, both for automated extraction as well as manual extraction kits. And getting at medical grade plastic granules in country is again a big challenge because they are not gamma sterilizable. To scout around and get this in act, and we are not core plastic guys. We don't have any expertise in plastic guys. To establish this, to make a clean room facility, and then go into making all these plastics was a big challenge, and we could ultimately do with at par with a Canadian company called Simport. So The cost there's a significant innovation went into the cost reduction is at least the import costs around 28 rupees each vial. And we actually make the selling price to 6 rupees. So currently there's a huge demand and we are supplying lots of these plastics independently. Apart from supplying to Huwell, we also supply to other vendors. So currently we have many range, out of which COVID is important. Now COVID have gone, but we have made such a format right now. We have independent mixes in one tube. Primer probe mix is in one, and positive control and IC in other, and negative control. So we have designed kit such a way that now we have enzyme mixes in continuously manufactured, both with RT and without RT, and with quick start and the hot start. So we develop completely one sector of enzymes, and other division makes primer probe mix, which are suitable for different diseases. So this platform, we have around 33 assays, and currently these kits have been utilized in multiple places, which we are implementing in all big clients like MIMHANS and Tata Memorial Hospital and Actric Mumbai, and locally we supply. And locally we supply to several diagnostics and chains as well as hospitals. And this is another big project, I think, thanks to BIRAC again. So this, they trusted us in making all these products work. At that time, we didn't have thermostable, in the sense we didn't have thermostable RT. So we again had to redesign the whole process to make thermostable RT for making a lyophilized format. And currently we are like HB, we are manufacturing HBV and dengue kits as DNA and RNA model for lyophilized format. We have lyophilizers in manufacturing scale right now, and we are now making this. And this is a product which we are commercializing in first quarter, I mean, of this financial year. So this would be extended to all the kits. So the major problem of transport, storage, and operation, and this would be easy in tier 2, tier 3, where now roughly around 20 to 25,000 RT-PCR test machines have been installed across country in tier 2 and tier 3. This would be very beneficial for most of the assays to follow there, where we have very limited operational costs for storage as well as transport. And we have other assays, lab-based assays in pipeline. And this is another important project and facility which has been funded by BIRAC. We have the complete end-to-end facility for oligosynthesis. We have oligosynthesis, we have analytical equipment, HPLC, for analyzing the purity, and then we have purification. HPLC, the other HPLCs we have for analytical as well as preparative. And we have LCMS, which is very important for oligos. And this is the first machine which is installed in country for oligo analysis. So basic objective was to enter into, even if company has to diversify into therapeutic oligos and then subsequently go into mRNA like vaccines, future, this is a complete setup for all preparation, right from oligos to all, including analytical side. This is the first machine of LCMS specifically for oligos, which is designed by Waters. And we also make all extraction kits. We make different extraction, both for manual and as well as magnetic bead extraction kits. These are generic kits which can be used for COVID and non-COVID. And definitely COVID has helped us in making these solutions and scale up. And that was important stuff what every funding did to us. And this is oligosynthesis is the first time which we are manufacturing all types of oligos and probes in country. And we are the only company which has all types of probes which are manufactured in country. Others manufacture 1 or 2 types of probes, but we manufacture entire range. Expertise has been developed within very short time, because BIRAC released fund and immediately we started working on, since we had little bit of money. So we invested far ahead of milestones and finished the project within 6 to 8 months. And we also make equipment right now. So right now we are sourcing out RT-PCR machine, in a popular brand with which is doing on OEM basis. But we are working on other extraction, automated nucleic acid extraction. We are working in-house, and centrifuges is being developed. These are cold centrifuge as well as ambient room temperature stable. This is developed completely in Hyderabad with everything developed in-house. So this is ready to scale up. So these are the further categories which we have already products in. And this is a complete solution with which we had the COVID solution, where we make everything in-house, the enzymes, primer probes, plastics, and buffers. This is, I would say, 98% indigenous, because 2% is fine chemicals, still we have to import. So those, except those, rest all 98% is indigenous. So this shows the capability of country to manufacture any type of product, so that we can manufacture, apart from COVID, any type of product. Currently, we are approved in UAE, Qatar, and Sri Lanka. So we are supplying these products to UAE, and we are supplying bulk in Dubai too. We are also supplying, we are registered in Sri Lanka now. So we are supplying, apart from COVID kits, we are also supplying dengue, chikungunya, and multiplex of both.
Thank you. Actually, I would like to request you to leave the previous slide on, and then I would request the panelists to come in. Before they come in, I would just want to add one thing. Shishir mentioning that he is receiving BIZ, he received BIZ also, but other BIRAC grants. In the last BIRAC grants, it was so nice to see many of the startups who are working on the diagnostics to mention that we have the Indian probes and we will be sourcing from the Huvels. So BIRAC team felt so happy during the inauguration time. I just wanted to add, and
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Over to the panel.
Yeah. So in fact, we have probably in the number, we are the largest supplier of COVID kits in country. We have done around 3.9 crores of COVID tests been supplied across. Though the margins fell steep down to when we started, it was around 1,200 rupees, and which way went down to 17 to 18 rupees per test. So still we could make a 20 to 30% margin thanks to again BIRAC to give this facility of primer probes where they were available at right time. I think this is the right help at right time, what happened to company. And that progressed very well, and now we can cater to others. Right now we are supplying to many big vendors. In fact, I'm proud to say that we are supplying to some of the manufacturers in country who are big manufacturers in country. We are supplying from right now. So we are also now into other areas, since RT-PCR is a platform technology. So we are into different projects like meat identification, lab animal monitoring, and diseases at aquaculture, food and microbiology, and others. So we are also into rapid test manufacturing. We are also into other home kits, which we are developing right now. So which would be launched in second quarter.
Shishir, I would like to request you to, thank you very much.
Sorry.
No problem at all.
I just want to show the impact of funding, impact of generation or taking this opportunity, and so that how probably a mid-sized small company can use the opportunity to make it big. So currently we started in 2017 with 3 employees. We are 65 right now. So that and another 15 temp employees. So there are several things like creating opportunity for others as well. It created lots of opportunity for us and also for others. This facility is around 50,000 square feet. We have 23,000 square feet of clean room facility, and we are now doing contract manufacturing as well. So thank you.
And any questions, any comments from the experts?
Hi, this is Swapnil. This is excellent, Dr. Shishir. Really impressive the way you have proceeded in your journey of last 4 years. My specific comments are with regard to, and I see some of that already happening, is the way you are trying to integrate both vertically and horizontally into the ecosystem. And the good part is you're starting right at the epicenter with the most critical component in the value chain, which is the enzymes and the reagents. So what are your plans, or I mean, you don't need to answer that right away also, but continue to focus on how do you integrate vertically as well as horizontally, so that you can enjoy both the economies of scale and scope to take this further down.
Yeah, to quickly answer that, we just started establishing distribution. Now the course is what is post-COVID. So we are working on that. We already established different distributors across, and now we have already appointed a national sales manager to do it in trade market. So first, we would like to expand the products, whatever we have, to implement in the market, and then we are now working on different sectors, where including mental health, what I think Rachna was trying to, my other partner and colleague, so she wanted to put efforts there. So she is working on mental health programs as well, biochemical markers as well as other markers. So we are trying to associate with different collaborators, different distributors to distribute in different sectors. So right now the focus is more on sales, and probably next 1 to 1.5 years more would be on sales to capitalize what we have.
Right. And the other opportunity for you might also be looking at potential partnerships.
Absolutely.
Not only with your customers, but also with some of the other partners in terms of the OEMs. Those are making
currently we have one approach from an MNC to work out, because most of the MNCs are now trying to work out to see the philosophy of Make in India, to utilize that opportunity. So they are wanted to associate with us. So discussions are like twice we have done. So they are very keen to associate with us. So there are various opportunities which are coming on OEM as well as bulk supply.
Great. Well, this is impressive. I wish you very best. Stay focused. I know it's it's easy to digress. So
yeah.
a lot of things happening, but this is great work.
Today we also have Mr. Mukesh Sharma, founder and CEO from Mentera. So actually, Shishir is one person who actually brought the problems, like how a life science startup, if they want a 50 to 100 crore investment, it's so complex to go ahead. Finally, he was able to do, but 2 years back, 1.5 years back, he came to, in several discussions he brought. Maybe you can add the point from that perspective, knowing that life sciences take time.
I think Yuval is an amazing work. Very few companies like Yuval, and I think if BIRAC was not there, unfortunately, it's a gap in our ecosystem, investing ecosystem. My conversations with Yuval and Shashi tell me that there are very few people who understand it as entrepreneurs in companies. So there are going to be even fewer investors who would understand it, right? So I think it's a expertise gap, and it's also, as investors, if you are seeing a lot of uncertainty, or if there's information asymmetry that you don't understand, it's very difficult to underwrite a transaction. So this is, I think, this is not a Yuval issue. This is probably something at an ecosystem level will need to address. BIRAC has a role to play, IKP has a role to play in this, and funds like us have a role to play. But I have given my feedback to Shashi separately. We had a chance to meet recently at our office in Bangalore. Not only for Shashi, but for all entrepreneurs, I would say, when the whole space is in flux, right? The market is moving very rapidly. The financial, he talked about margins going from, pricing and margin going significantly down. Product pipeline is likely to change. Customer segment is going to change, right? There's a lot of changing in this. A lot of things are changing in the space, not only in Yuval, but the whole space. So in a situation like this, an entrepreneur probably needs to identify an investor with, as close to what they are looking at, and then co-create a transaction. This approach of going and pitching a company, and then investor at a very high level looking at it and saying it works, doesn't work, I think is not the way to structure transaction. This is not a plain vanilla transaction approach that will work here. So I have given detailed feedback to Shishir and happy to, continue to engage with him. I've committed to, do whatever I can to help him, whether Mentera can invest in or not. But it's a issue, Vishu and Dipanvita, that we need to really look at that goes beyond human.
Thank you so much. So due to the time constraints, we will move on. Thank you, Shishir, so much. And since Rachna has to move out, the next, I would request Rachna to go.
Thanks a lot, Vishu. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Vishu. Thank you, Dipanvita ma'am. Every time I hear Shishir speaking, I get so motivated even more. Like, we have met Shishir. I don't know him personally, but we have met at many of these forums, and the work that Shishir and Rachna are doing are amazing. So yes, kudos to you, Shishir. Right. So we have a small presentation, but I think I'll just start with a basic introduction of why MicroGo was founded, right? COVID did give us the biggest surprise of our lives, right? And the other silent pandemics that are in progress, which is availability of safe water, occurrence of antimicrobial resistance or superbugs, as we call them, which definitely will affect the other essentials. I mean, the essentials of human lives, which is water, food, and healthcare, right? And this was a vision by which we started the company. We started the company on focusing on microbes, the invisible ones. And because they are invisibles, they are even more powerful because you can't spot them, right? And the common thread, microbes, and that naturally migrated to water, sanitation, and hygiene, which is our focus area. 5 of these 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals as well. And that remains our focus area. Now, the exact problem that we started to solve was, if we bring in the right science into picture, we will be able to solve the problem. But the industry, the customer teaches you everything. And what the customer taught us, the real early stages, marquee customers taught us that non-compliance in following the right practices was definitely a problem. But the other 2 problems were, they were unable to track the hygiene or infection control based standard operating procedures. They may have great SOPs directed by JCI or FSSI, which these 2 industry where our focus is, which is health and hospitality, but they are not able to track the SOPs. And third, because the problem, the invisibles are invisible in nature, hygiene practices are always treated as an expenditure, not an investment. And this was the understanding that we had, which the customer taught us, that any technology, any solution around it, if it is able to solve all the 3 problems, not only ensure that the right science has been provided, ensure that hygiene practices do not sound like an expenditure, but an investment. And if we can bring in real-time monitoring so that they can exactly know where the money is being put in, that's when the problem will get solved. So that's where our focus has been for the past 3 years, to address hygiene and infection control. So that's where our products not only assures that the right practices are being brought into the industry. At the same time, with unique engineering, we bring in a lot of sustainability so that they can save a lot of on operational cost. It increases the cash flow for the customer. And third, we bring in technology to monitor the SOPs in real time. This was the work that we did with the ICO and the BIRAC COVID Fund together. And because it was resonating a lot during COVID, times where hand hygiene was the first line of defense. So Vishu, can we go to the first slide, please? Yeah, thank you. So this was what we were doing. We were providing seamless hand hygiene to healthcare worker at every opportunity in the healthcare premises, right? So Vishu, can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So and needless to say, it is first line of defense. Not only prevents the occurrence of nosocomial infection, but also prevents antimicrobial resistance occurrence. And that's why it's first line of care in healthcare. Yeah, so this is good hand hygiene practice. 20 seconds, you have to do it. You have to do it in this way. 1800 is when Semmelweis actually discovered that. And this is where this, we stuck. This is what we have given to our healthcare, that ye karna hai, but how to make it more easier, how to make it more practicable, how to make it more traceable, trackable is something that we have not been able to provide to the healthcare workers, except alcohol-based hand rub and the good hand hygiene practices, the model that we have on your screen. So this was the problem. Non-compliance, I mentioned, capital for compliances are expensive, and there was no mean for real-time monitoring, right? So if you look at this number, for a 100-bed facility, hand hygiene opportunities per day are close to 9,000, and yearly it is close to around 32 lakhs. What is the challenge that the healthcare was facing that time? Measurable implementation, because infection control is a 24/7, 365 days problem. It is not when an observer is there or when there is an in-house audit is going. It happens every day, every moment, and there was no way by which they were able to measure or track the opportunity, hand hygiene opportunity versus each usage. There was no way that they were able to measure that each opportunity when the hand hygiene was performed, was the hand hygiene performed according to the good hand hygiene practices, because quantity matters, but quality also matters, because we are talking about infection control. There is a huge difference in 99% disinfection efficiency and 99.9999% disinfection efficiency, right? Because that's how the math works. And third, let's say they have set a benchmark for themselves that we at this facility will always have 80-90% hand hygiene % compliance. And do they actually receive an SOS when the compliance reaches below a set percentage? No, they only come to know when the damage has been done, right? And this is something that they need to focus immediately as soon as the SOS has dropped down. So this was the challenge in front of us. A very small number, if you look at it, the COTI or the hospital associated infection at 7.2%. And just by increasing the compliance percentage from less than 30%, we have been able to reach to 57%, right? This is how the rates work. Just by increasing the compliance, the HAI, WAP and COTI, this is how the numbers look like. Yeah. So this is what Go Assure. Go Assure is India's first and only smart hand hygiene solution that does all the three things I've been mentioning. It assures you good hand hygiene practices. It coaches you every time the 6 steps. The 20-second timing is assured. It alarms the user at every missed opportunity, every acquired opportunity, tells them when at each opportunity they have performed hygiene at the right method or they have missed it, right? It is IoT enabled, and that is why you can actually real-time monitor each hospital, each facility, each ICU units. We can now actually create a personalized dashboard if they want to monitor individual level or if they want to monitor at a facility level. Yeah, they can actually able to do it. And with engineering, pre-optimized dispensing, and of course other features, we also have been able to save a lot of consumables that go into this process, because for that, it is a cost to the company. It is a cost to the healthcare organization. So any standard operating procedure that you want to follow, you can actually feed it into the machine. That is why we do quite a bit of customization, and we feed it into the machine. The data is sent to the cloud server. What it does, as I said, it captures each bedside hand hygiene opportunity, each opportunity while entering zone, whatever you wanted, and then sends it to the smart hand hygiene dashboard, which actually tells you top hygiene heroes, what is the volume used, the consumable, what is the saving, everything that you want to. And the best part is why hospital likes us, because we are open-ended. We are not closed-ended for 2 reasons. There are reasons why they purchase the consumables from particular companies. And secondly, because of antimicrobial resistance, they need to switch from one consumable to other. And so we are in the business of technology, of the machine, and the service that we provide end-to-end in the hosting and the technology part. So because we are open-ended, it becomes much more easier. So we have 4 variations now. The one that you are seeing is the plus model, but then we have K, P, and O catering to the different requirement. The plus is for the ICU, O is at the critical care units, the bone marrow transplant and the liver transplant unit. P is mostly where the pathogen handling has been done, or the phlebos, the phlebologists, or when they move around to collect blood samples, or the labs. And K is the basic version. So we have quite a bit of variation catering to each and every aspect of the hand hygiene that is required at the healthcare. Yeah, this is a smart dashboard just to give you an overall idea. Yeah, maybe we can skip that. Yeah, very recently we also received this certification from IFMO as Hygiene First certification. And you know what we were just mentioning about the deep tech, the science-based startup, exactly what the certification talks about, that it is not only doing it right. I mean, not doing it matters, doing it right matters. And this is exactly what the certification tells us, that it is not the consumable. A simple 70% based alcohol actually does the job if your process is right, if your method is right. The common people, even healthcare for that matter, outside ICUs, do not require surgical hand rubs, and they can just do away and receive the same amount of result with a simple hand rub, which costs less and is less complicated in nature. But the process has to be right, and this is what exactly we have been doing. Only in ICUs in the past 4 to 5 months, we have captured 30,740 opportunities. This is what my passion comes in, more than 89% of hand hygiene percentage compliance. Some of our marquee customers in this space include the Apollo hospitals now, and the Chettinad hospitals in Chennai, and many other hospitals. The smaller hospitals, in fact, are liking it. It is not now pertaining to the corporate hospital chains. And apart from that, of course, we have been able to touch around 70 lakh lives with the hand hygiene program, the range of devices that we have. But this was a recent impact that I thought I'll share. Yeah, Bishop, next slide. Yeah. So now coming to the part that why it is important. So yes, hospital do look at it at a point where, is it expensive, or is it like an expenditure? And that's where it comes, because one HAI costs around, of course the numbers are in dollars, but the same numbers looks like also in India, but we don't have the numbers. And in the markets that we are now focusing on, the reason why I'm here also, because the insurance providers actually do not cover if the patient has actually extended the stay in the hospital due to the lack of infection control measures provided by the government. So that's where the essence of what we are developing also comes into place. So, I have always been a big crusader of what BIRAC and IKP are. Early handholders came into picture. The BIRAC came in, IKP, ICOFund came in also in the 2020, when we were just starting to take the leap of, reaching out to more and more users. And I'm the Microgo is always thankful for that. So this is what our motto remains, that with Microgo in water and wash space, we don't want to only keep life safe, but also want to save in a lot of valuable resources, bring in sustainability, and digitalize hygiene. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rachna. And very quickly, I want to introduce a line about our speakers. Today we have clinician Dr. Subodh Chaturvedi, who is a part of COVID Task Force MP, and he's also director for NT's Healthcare. And we have Mr. Supnil Mundada, director for Orbis Medical. He has been working with the various innovation ecosystem in the medical device field. Thank you very much, sir. And also we have Ms. Kirti Pandey, who worked as an ex-advisor in the Honorable Cabinet Minister in Goa. Thank you very much, and over to panelists.
So this is good, Rachna. Are you a CapEx model or a subscription model?
We have both the models, but we understand the limitation. If we want to scale, it has to be a subscription model, because the problem is not solved if it is placed at 20 ICUs. The healthcare wants to cover all the ICUs. So we have two models now. There is a subscription model where they don't want to take the consumables from us, then we give them that. If they want to take the consumables from us, then it is an FTO model. So it is free to use. The capex is ours, but you got to buy a particular set of refills from us. So we have both the models, whichever suits them. We have actually completely taken away the capex model because it was not working out. We learned that very difficult manner in the past year, that we were not able to scale. Thus, we were just going to be happy there. So for those reasons, yes.
Right. And my other question to you is, you are into more of a preventive business,
yes,
trying to prevent something. And the most difficult part of this is convincing a customer about what is the opportunity cost.
Yes.
If they don't do it. So how did you overcome this challenge? Particularly convincing the customers about things which never happened, and you were actually not letting them that happen.
I think show and tell. We are very big. Even if the customer says, okay, we will buy, we said, sir, pehle pilot karenge. We are very clear that we will do a pilot, and our pilot will not only just about leaving it there. We give greater customer service to the pilot during the pilot, because then I feel there's a lot of stickiness in this hygiene and infection control says the companies don't provide greater customer service. So point one. So when they start liking you, they ask you a lot of other questions. And when you start actually give them a 360 round things, they said, okay, she's actually trying to answer, or the team is actually trying to answer that nobody has ever answered, which could be even basic thing that ye wala mask pehenna hai, simply. And second, all our pilot reports talks about the operational cost being saved. We always talk about the quality and the quantity. So they were anyway spending that much amount of money, right? So now with that, the same amount of money, they can actually see visual results. The guy doesn't have to run around all the 4 hotels, because in every zone, there is only one. Even in, like, for example, in Apollo Chennai, you have only one infection control officer. We work with Taj in Chennai. There are 6 Taj properties. There is only one hygiene officer. So there is cost incurred for him to run around and see ki kya chal raha hai. Now here we empower them to sit at that desk and see how it is happening. What is the consumable used, consumable saved, and at this compliance percentage. And to make it a little more sweeter to them, we actually provide them great service by phone. So we connect them on WhatsApp every morning. Before the guy steps in at his 10 a.m. meeting with his GM or to his HIC in charge, the data reaches to him. So he just has to see and just go and present him. So we are trying, that's why I mentioned great products, but greater customer service, and prove them with numbers. Because and as I said, the problem, as you rightly mentioned, Swapnil, you can't see the bugs. When you can't see, you can't convince them. So we are trying all these things to ensure that, we create a value to them, not only add value. So that's where, our efforts are. So I hope that answered your question.
It does. And in fact, I would advise you to stay focused on those lines, okay? Because it's very critical as you are scaling up. You will have to be very much focused on customer service.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had the same view as Swapnil. I think monetization in business case is going to be the biggest challenge in this as you scale.
Yeah.
Even if you convince 1 or 2 stakeholders, this is not something they are used to paying. This is not part of their regular budget item. So in your sales team, it's not only a clinical case, but also a business case. How are they saving money will be a very important part of the case.
Rachna.
Yes, sir.
So first of all, many congratulations. What you are doing is actually serving the humanity. Seriously. I mean, because I have been in a cardiac surgery team for 10 years, and what you are doing matters a lot. I don't know, your customers or the hospitals or the hotels might not understand that, but I know the cost of the opportunity cost of a hospital acquired infection, that to in a cardiac surgery patient. Do you pitch it to the surgeons or the surgical team? Because probably they will be your ideal customers. And do you one more question? Do you have a solution for surgical hand wash? Because that is a little different. That is not for 20 seconds and all.
So we always start with the user, the stakeholder, because we know that even if I go from the top, he will again ask me to come back and take the view from them. So we go to the stakeholder, we convince and do our homework there, and then go to the HIC in charge or whoever is a zonal manager. In hospitality industry, good for us that we know who are the key decision makers in the particular industry. Hospital में थोड़ा सा difficult है to find out, because our distributors also are not from that particular, they're not able to pinpoint, but this is how we do. We go to the user, convince them, and then we do a paid pilot. This is something that we recently learned. We were first doing free pilot. A free pilot may what happens is they all get excited and they get, acha, let's do it. But the problem is the decision maker doesn't know that this has happened in the organization. The sum is very minimal, 2,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees only, but 2,000 rupees ka bhi sign upar se hi aayega. So when that happens, everyone in the line knows that something like this has happened in the healthcare, in their organization. So when we go and take the report, they will not come back and say, Acha, when did this happen? I too didn't knew. So this is our approach. Take a paid pilot, a very meager sum, start with the user and then go up to the top. That is to answer your first question, Dr. Subodh. Second question, no, we have not done the surgical hand rub. We have been getting a lot of inquiries that we should start that. But we thought, let us scale to a significant level at the ICU model. Yeah. And then once we are comfortable and we have understood the trade in a very well manner, and that's when we will go to the next step and take the surgical ones as well.
And who is your bigger customer, the hospitals or the hotels and all?
Actually, I could not show you one another product, which is the Max model that we have. Usme bhi the technology remains same, but only the refills or the consumables changes. So health and hospitality both are our main customers. So in every zone, this is how our sales team is positioned like, which is actually going to be deployed by 1st of April, that we have one person for hospitality, one person for healthcare, and one person as a product application specialist, which takes care what exactly Swapnil and Mukesh mentioned, the pre-sales and the post-sales part, which is pitching them the business and ensuring that the numbers are taken care. So this is what our structure is like, because everything is very overlapping. So while we say healthcare may hospitality, but healthcare also has hospitality because every healthcare has a kitchen, right? If you go to the hospitality, they have restaurants where they don't want to use the bulkier version, they want to use the small units. So there is a lot of overlapping. So that's why we don't want to lose the opportunity. We want to be the first in both the sectors and try to do it out. And just because we have also got marquee customers in the hospitality range as well, because there also the acceptance is quite a bit. And that's where we thought that let's target both of them together.
One more thing, I would like to see a demo of the product, or maybe a video demo sometime.
Yes,
because
yes.
I have come to this platform for the first time. I would like to see that.
Where are you placed at, sir? Are you in Delhi?
Because I also represent a big hospital in Indore MP.
Okay.
So maybe
Sure.
you can utilize.
Rachna, I will connect sir over the email and we will certainly arrange, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So with this, I would like to request Ashwin from Dozy team to present.
Hi, before I start, it was really wonderful to hear Rachna and Trishir and the work they're doing. And it gives me immense pleasure to present our product here in this esteemed forum. Dozy was founded in 2015 with an aim to transform healthcare. So it is India's first contactless remote patient monitoring and early warning system. So what we do is we have a sensor sheet which is about the size of a BP cuff. It goes under the mattress of the patient, whether it's at home or in the hospitals. And whenever the patient or any user is sleeping up on the mattress, Dozy automatically records all its vitals and process it and show it on a central system. It was founded by two ex-IITians, Mudit, who is from IIT Mumbai, and Gaurav, who is from IIT Indore. Both were very passionate about race cars and used and have actually built full-scale race cars. And that's where they got the idea of designing Dozy. They wanted to use the same technology which is used to identify crashes in race cars to and you put it to better use in the space of healthcare. That's where Dozy came into the picture, and Gaurav is a specialist in AI. So with a combination of the sensors, sensor technology and AI, they managed to create this product, which is now present in 300 plus hospitals across the country. So like I said, we are into the space of continuous remote patient monitoring. Uh, it's as simple as sleeping on the product and you can record all the vitals of your patients. So think about it. If you have a ward of close to 500 patients, which was actually the case in a few during COVID, during both COVID-1 and COVID-2, wherein large scale stadiums were converted into COVID centers. 500 patients on one go. You can monitor all those 500 patients through a single screen, and you can actually identify which patient, which particular bed the patient on which the patient is the health deteriorating. We have an AI system, proprietary AI system, which gives you an early warning score, and helps you triage your patients every morning. So like I said, you can convert any bed into a step down ICU in a matter of 5 minutes. All you have to do is put the sheet under it, plug it to a PowerPoint and convert it and connect it to a Wi-Fi. So the parameters that we measure firstly in the contactless way are heart rate, respiration rate, non-contact blood pressure, heart rate variability, sleep and sleep apnea. We also have an facility of adding some accessories which will help you measure the temperature, NIBP, oxygen saturation, 6-lead ECG, 12-lead ECG, and very soon we are also coming up with blood glucose integration. So all this in a single ecosystem and in a fairly non-invasive way. The technology that we use in this is called ballistocardiography. In fact, ballistocardiography is a technology which is being used since a long time. Before ECG came in, there was ballistocardiography. We just didn't have proper AI or proper data to use that BCG data at that time. So over the course of 4 years, through intensive research, through testing, we managed to crack that algorithms to give 98.4% accurate results. We've already filed 7 patents and we've already published 8 papers on this. Our artificial intelligence, the main, the biggest advantage of our AI is that it gives you early warning scores, which no other device right now gives you. So think about it. Whenever doctor comes in for its round every morning, they already have a list present that out of the 50 patients that I'm looking into, these 5 are critical, these 20 are moderately critical, and the other 25 are normal. So they can actually plan their rounds in a way that the first those 5 are attended to, then the other 20, and finally the 25. We are looking at a scenario where the doctor to patient ratio in this country is highly skewed. We are slowly moving towards more doctor coming in, but at the same time, the patients are also increasing. Just to give you a snapshot, there are about 55 million cardiac patients in the country. And if we look at specialist cardiac doctors, there are only about 5,000 to 6,000. So that is the skewness that we are talking about. And yet, it is not just the doctor, it is not just the hospitals, but it is also our duty as someone who's in healthcare to make sure that every patient is getting proper care. And we try to do our bit through this. Our motto is timely action saves lives. So what we do is we have divided our impact into 3 different domains. First is the health impact. We typically helps improve nursing efficiency by more than 80%. So we did our analysis. Every nurse spends about 1 hour to do spot checks, to record vitals of patients every day. And we help eliminate that. We are giving them automated vitals at the click of a button on their phone, on a central monitoring system, on a display system, wherever they want. So it helps elevate the nursing role and help them utilize their time for far more important things, which ultimately leads to improved patient outcomes. In fact, this was one of our key use cases during COVID. COVID, where contact was something which was very feared, we managed to eliminate the process of contact altogether.
I would like to, yes, I would like to request Mr. Mukesh Sharma to share his comments because he will be leaving in a minute.
I'm sorry I have to leave, but happy to connect with any of the entrepreneurs offline, any of IKB ladies or the entrepreneurs here. I know a few of them, they've been in touch with me. You can reach out to me on mukesh@mintera.com or through the Pinvita issue. Sorry for this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We understand, and
looks like a good product to me. Definitely a lot of scope to add more accessories and features, in terms of remote patient monitoring. Not sure, is this currently classified as a medical device?
yes,
It is classified as a medical device.
it is classified, and their parameters compared with the gold standards, they have even published 8 publications. So along with the NIMHANS, initially it actually started as a BIG project validating sleep and stress levels and respiratory, and during COVID time they were quickly able to add additional parameters.
Right, and in fact, beyond hospital, I think this has got some great application at home care.
Exactly.
So that is something I'm sure Ashwin would focus on as we move forward. But a really impressive product, I must say.
Completely agree. It has a lot of scope in home care, especially after big surgeries or for these sleep apnea patients and everything. Even if it doesn't, well, they are saying it's 98.4% accurate. Even if it isn't, then the sleep data and the heart rate variations, they are very good parameters to watch for at home for certain degree of patients.
I just want to mention that the data they mentioned is validated in the sleep lab. And initially it started as a for home thing, and only last 2 years it was very quickly for the hospital. So their bandwidth and they
it has a lot of scope in small hospitals in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, or this tele ICU kind of setups.
Especially in centers where the nursing staff is
not
well trained
or trained.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, Shishir, thank you. Yes, sir, I agree with you. And Dozy team was able to they came to Hyderabad. So during COVID time, there was a very turnaround time requested is very high. So they were able to come in the next day and set up a 100-bed hospital with complete monitoring with the dashboard.
I'm so sorry, my internet got lost in between. So sorry.
We are on your team, so I am answering on your behalf. And
thank you so much. So let me just share my screen again. Yes, so as I was talking about the impact, the health impact, obviously the economic impact, we set up step-down ICUs at almost 1/10 the cost of a typical ICU, thus ensuring a huge amount of cost saving for any hospital, let aside corporate hospitals, even government hospitals. We also have a lot of intangible impact wherein the entire process of vitals and data capturing is automated. So we are reducing the human errors that typically occur due to fatigue or due to large scale monitoring on one go, which helps in improved administration and improved patient satisfaction. So if a patient knows that when a doctor is approaching him, even though without checking their vitals, the doctor is approaching him, telling him that, okay, you felt some discomfort last night based on your data, the patient knows that he is being taken care of even when he or she is sleeping. So our entire system, we have ensured the highest of standards of privacy and data security. We are CDSCO certified, ROHS compliant, IEC certified, and ISO 27001, which is the world standard. Our FDA trials are also undergoing. ISO 13485 is also expected to be there within the next month. And then GDPR and HIPAA, the process is already undergo. So with respect to data security, which is one of the primary concerns of all the hospitals, we have already covered all the bases. One of the best thing is you can also customize any alert for every patient. So if you have 10 different type of patients, you don't have to set single type of alerts for every one of them. You can customize them accordingly. Looking more at the impact, our biggest use case was at IGMC Nagpur, wherein we set up a complete 250 bed monitoring system during COVID, and we helped them effect more than 800 successful timely ICU transfers. Every life saved, that is our motivation. If we can help patients get the care at the right time, that is our motivation to grow big. That is our motivation to reach every hospital in the country. And we have a complete video, which probably will share the link with you. I will not play it due to the paucity of time here. But yes, we were very well received by IGMC Nagpur. And during COVID, we were present in almost 150 plus hospitals at that time. Post-COVID, we managed to reach to 300 plus hospitals, including esteemed government organizations such as Indian Army, Indian Navy, ESIC, Railways. All of them have trusted us with their hospitals to not just manage COVID, even post-COVID. So like I said, even Indian Army trusted us during COVID. Like we said, we have helped ensure more than 2,000 timely transfers to ICUs and from ICUs to a step-down ICU. In short, we have monitored over 50,000 patients. We have 7,000 active beds across the country, 300 plus hospitals. We have saved over 120,000 nursing hours in the country. This is just the beginning. We, with the scale that we have started to grow in, we aim to be in every single bed in this country. And this is not just the hospitals, even home. One of our biggest use case is the home monitoring. Post-discharge patients, post-cardiac discharge patients, CKD patients, geriatric patients who typically require continuous monitoring. We have a different segment which is called DOSI, simple DOSI, which can be used to monitor them at home. It typically gives them the data of their overnight sleep, their vitals. On the basis of it, it gives them a color-coded card which helps them evaluate their health every morning. So, for example, a green card means everything is healthy, an orange card means there is something to be linked into, a red card means that the health is deteriorating and they need to consult their physician or their doctors. So not just the hospital segment, we are also into the home segment. Like we said, while COVID helped us accelerate our growth, we managed to scale much more post-COVID. The hospitals realized our value during COVID, and after that, we've managed to convert a lot of ICUs into step down. We've managed to convert a lot of wards into high dependency units at a very low cost. So we can proudly say that we've associated with few of the finest Apollo hospitals, Reliance, HNH, Sparsh, Sagar hospitals. These are just to name a few. We are already in talks with a lot more hospitals and we are 100% confident to be present in their hospitals by the end of this year itself. And like we said, our another use case is connected home care. So when the patient is discharged from the hospital, we provide that continuum of care. So typically what happens in the Indian health ecosystem is when a patient is discharged, the doctors have to depend upon the patient's word on their health. We tend to eliminate that. We help the doctors get the data continuously even after the patient is discharged, which adds a factor of a peace of mind for the doctors as well as the patients due to this continuum of care. Right now, we are focusing on heart failure patients. In the coming months, our aim is to venture into geriatrics and CKD patients as well. So, in short, we're looking to transform healthcare, and I now leave the floor open to questions.
Thank you, Ashwin. And just when you dropped out of the call, I took your place and answered. Actually, you have presented them. Sir, over to you, Dr. Chaturvedi.
Hi, Ashwin.
Hi, sir.
I'm talking to you for the first time. Probably we were connected like 2 years back when the first COVID wave struck. In MP, we were trying to do something like that for home monitoring in COVID. Eventually, we did some kind of remote monitoring with our Indore Nagar Nigam app. Anyways, first of all, you are doing really, really good work. I have a few questions. What is the cost for setting up a 20-bed ICU with your system?
So, sir, we are mainly on a subscription-based model. Typically, if I look at a single bed, it is around 75,000 for 3 years.
That's good.
Yeah. So when we are talking about a 20-bed hospitals, you can probably multiply it by.
Okay. Right. That's great. Secondly, what is the cost for home care for a single person? Let's say I put a post-operative. I work in bariatric surgery. You know that bariatric surgery is obesity surgery. Most of my patients are into sleep apnea and all those things. So if I want to track their progress, how they are improving over a couple of months or days, so that is a good thing for me. So how much will it cost the patient?
Sir, the home model that we have presently, it's priced at 17,000 rupees, which comes with the 1-year subscription. Post that, for every year, the patient has to pay 8,000 rupees for an annual subscription.
That is very economical, actually.
Yes. And so this includes all the updates that come in. So there is a daily reporting that is there. They have a complete app-based ecosystem. They have a caretaker-based ecosystem. We are now introducing a doctor clinical dashboard itself. So they can be mapped to their respective doctors. They don't even have to WhatsApp their data to their doctors. The doctors can directly see it from their clinical dashboard.
Right. One more thing. This is measuring the data only during the sleep from the bed. Can it be made a wearable?
That is in our future plan, sir. We are already working upon that to increase, to make the continuum of care even when the patient is not on the bed, through a wearable or through a patch. We are working on those technologies, but we don't have anything concrete as of now.
Right. One last question. Yeah. How accurate is the data? I mean, you said it is 98.4%. And one more question, probably Swapnil or Mukesh, one of them asked, is it registered as a medical device now?
Yes, it is registered as a medical device, and our data is clinical grade accuracies. We've actually published international papers on our accuracy also. Typically, what we do is just to prove our accuracy whenever we go into any hospital. During our pilot phase, we do an accuracy test. So whatever multi-parameter monitors the hospital are using, we connect those to the same patient where our device is, and we run the simulations for over 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever the time they want. And they can compare the data, and in 95% of the cases, it's more than 98% accurate.
So this thing can be implemented as a tele ICU kind of setup. Let's say there is a very big hospital and a medical college, and they want to run ICUs at 5 small centers in their district as their own satellite centers, where the experts sitting in the main building, they will take care of the patients in the smaller districts. Something like that can be worked. No?
Yes, sir. We are actually in talks with a lot of state governments for the same thing, directly at the state level. So the small CDCs, the small CHCs that are there, 50-bedded CHCs, we've actually managed to hook up a few CDCs and given a central access to the main capital cities. So all those CDCs can be monitored centrally. So this is just one use case, what you are saying. We can also venture into small satellite centers, any regular facility which even does not have hospital level infrastructure. If they have beds, they have they have plug points. We also take care of the internet part. Even if there is no internet, we take care of the internet part. We have internet dongles that we can provide, and they can be connected to the system. In future, we would also be coming up with a GSM based facility within the device itself. So even the Wi-Fi or the internet dependency would reduce. So any, say a regular home or a regular conference room can also be converted into a 10-bed thing. You just have to put up beds, to put up devices, and they can monitor and give you patients' health.
Right. I have seen similar presentations from GE and Philips. Probably we were looking for certain solution for our own hospital where I work. That's a medical college in Indore. We were looking for this kind of a model where we have satellite centers across in small tier 3 cities, you can say, and we'll bring patients from there and we'll observe patients in that setup. How much will be your cost different from those GE and Philips kind of setups?
Sir, one big advantage that we have over GE and Philips system is if you see a device, it's purely non-invasive. So it fits into the lifestyle of the patient. And in the same device, we can connect any number of accessories that you want. So right now, typically, we are measuring the 5 main parameters. We are adding glucose, we are adding hemoglobin. So different devices that we are adding. And with respect to cost, we are, let's say, about 30 to 40% lesser than a Philips or a GE.
That's a big number, actually, considering the whole cost.
Yes.
And, thank you, sir. Ashwin. So
yes,
what I will do is I will take this
fine,
and I will connect the DOSI team with you, sir. No, certainly we want to continue this discussion, and thank you so much to the DOSI team for joining despite of their schedule. And next, I would like to request Ashish from Geotronics. Again, his auditors are completely there in the facility, and he is joining. Thank you so much.
My name is Ashish Gowde. I'm the co-founder of Geotronics. So we have developed the world's first dual-powered defibrillator, which works on AC mains, but in addition, it has a built-in hand crank generator, which enables it to work in even rural India or remote tribal districts of India, so on and so forth, or all countries like rural India. So here's the problem we are trying to solve. India's death rate due to sudden cardiac arrest, as seen on the y-axis, is about 3 to 5 or 4 times higher compared to developed countries like Europe, North America. Whereas the number of defibrillators available is abysmally low, as shown on the x-axis. For example, in UK, the ICU design guideline says that there should be 1 defibrillator per 3 ICU beds, whereas in India, smaller hospitals have 0 defibrillators, 0.1. 0.2, they even in the larger hospitals, sometimes it's like 1 per 50 beds. And grid electricity does fail in India. That's a problem intermittently, outside of large metros like Mumbai, Delhi, so on and so forth. Even in Pune, we have a small power cut, few minutes per week. Batteries are unreliable and fail. About 20 to 30% of failure to shock events in US are because of that. Defibrillators are expensive. So we have solved all these problems by coming up with our defibrillator. If we could go to the next slide. So this defibrillators, as seen in that picture, it can be rotated with your hands. So there's a built-in generator. In 5 to 10 seconds, it powers up and you can save a life quickly. So that's the first advantage. Second is the total cost of ownership. Because we save people 10 batteries in 10 years, the total cost of ownership is 1.7 to 1.13 compared to any brand out there. The life is about 100 times more than most of the competitors and 6 times higher compared to the international standards. We fired 16,000 shocks out of it compared to what others can do. So yeah, it's a green device, no batteries. And recently we also launched the ambulance-worthy variant of it, which is AIS 125 certified. AIS 125 is the Indian standard for ambulances. Part 2 applies to medical devices. So it includes intense drop test on all 6 spaces from 2.5 feet on a hard floor. It includes vibrations. Yeah, so all of that. And we have some IP around it as well. So here's the deployment map. The devices we have 300 devices in the field, from Kashmir to Tamil Nadu, from Gujarat to UP. In the eastern states, we are weak. We don't have presence in Bengal, Odisha, and it has gone to 2 of the 7 northeastern states, not present in the remaining 5. We have passed all the international standards, IEC standards. We have ISO 13485 from SNAS Europe, IIS USA, and NABCB India. And we have a CDSCO manufacturing license as well, which is the regulation now in India. Real patients have been saved in tier 1, 2, 3, and 4 towns. So there is very good data available about the efficacy of the device. Yeah, thanks. Next. So starting with AIMS Nagpur, All India Institute of Medical Science Nagpur, they saved a lot of COVID patients using our device. From there to Gadchiroli, which is a tribal district. Here is a team from, so up there, the photo is from AIMS Nagpur team. Below photo is from Lok Biradri project. Dr. Baba Amte, Dr. Prakash Amte, Dr. Digant Amte's. So they also saved some lives. Here are some photos from Melghat Tiger Reserve. Literally, they are in the jungles. Yeah, and some ambulance photos. Yeah, next please. Next slide, please. So here's the impact status. 300 devices across India. 2 have gone to Africa. 62 are in COVID centers. 10% are in tribal districts of India. 80%. Yeah, another big point is 80% of all the devices we have shipped are in tier 2, 3, 4 towns. So the social impact is really happening where it needs to happen. Because else medical device manufacturers will always go to tier 1 towns. And large number of these replaced either a refurbished one, and almost 100% of the buyers purchase this instead of a refurbished, because our price point is close to a refurbished. Refurbished is a 10-year-old dirty illegal device coming, which is scrapped by the Europeans and North Americans. But people buy it here because they don't have a choice. But now with the regulation, refurbished will be illegal, and we are providing a better alternative to that, a world-class quality alternative to that. We estimate that about 660 patients have been saved at a modest average of 2.2 per device. Okay, and that number will continue to grow. That is the social impact status till date. Okay, next slide, please. Future growth. This is the only device in the world that does not need electricity. So this can help all primary healthcare centers, community healthcare centers, sub-district hospitals, district hospital. Potentially 40,000 deployment can happen with the government as a government system as well. And in next 3 years, in the private sector, 50,000 new hospitals will be constructed in India, and they all could potentially buy our device. The replacement demand is about 1 lakh devices per year. So, and we are already talking to entities in Africa, Southeast Asia, and South America will also be next to deploy this over there. So thank you very much. Happy to take any questions. And we appreciate the kind support from BIRAC. Our journey started with BIRAC, BIG, IIPME. I appreciate the support from Ministry of Electronics and Indo-US Science and Technology Fund, Tata Social Alpha, PATH, and USAID, Samrit. And appreciate all the kind support from everybody. Thank you.
Well, this is a good device, Ashish. Swapnil here.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. And I think, the price point that it comes at, you're really helping a lot with the tier 2, tier 3 setups. My question is more on how do you look at sustainability of this business with this one device? Because this is a one-time purchase for the hospital, and then there are no consumables or anything. So.
Yeah, that's right. As a strategy, in fact, we have eliminated the consumables that are potentially possible from environmental point of view, and also from because supply chains are weak in rural areas. So from that point of view also. Our unit cost economics is fairly attractive, and presently we should be. Last year we booked a small profit, and this year again we will book a small profit on whatever sales we have had. So that in addition to this, we are coming up with more and more devices all related to defibrillators presently. And we have identified some segments in which we can scale up and come up with more devices and cater to those particular segments. So we hope that and we have planned to continue to be profitable. But profit is a funny thing, as you know, it comes at the cost of founder salaries. The moment you load founder salary on it, it becomes negative. Okay, but from bankability point of view, we have realized that we must be bankable, and so starting next year, we should be able to avail loans from SIDBI and all, right? So we are expanding, right? We are hoping to raise equity round so that we have about larger sales force, larger service force and we scale up rapidly. Manufacturing wise, we are fairly, we had grant from soft loan from Kavach DST. I apologize, I forgot to acknowledge DST Kavach a few minutes ago. So DST Kavach, and because of that, we have a manufacturing capacity of about minimum 8, about 12 per day. So we should be doing really large numbers to utilize the factory better. So that's where we are at.
Right, because my point was this product will definitely do great, but a single product, basis a single product, it will be difficult for you to sustain over a long period of time, especially when the product is a capex and not a consumable for the hospitals or the PSCs. So do think about on those lines. How can we?
So we are adding IoT. IoT will bring us some revenue.
Okay.
Hi Ashish, great device. Just one question. You said that you are planning to sell about 40K devices to the government or so. Are you on the GEM portal?
So we have written to we showed the device to the minister recently.
Right.
And we have written to the IS officer in charge. There are some technical snags that need to be removed from the system for enabling us to be listed in mainstream defibrillators. The present specs are that we can take the conversation offline, but there is some technical snag that prevents us from listing in the mainstream defibrillators segment. And we have written it to the highest people. Yeah,
but did you try the National Health Mission route to get your devices to the PHC, CHC, if not GEM?
Sorry, the audio.
And Dr. Subodh and Swapnil, in case if you have any questions, again, I will connect with Ashish. Thank you so much. And we are moving to next Eve Labs team.
Hello everyone, very good afternoon. I'm Vishnu, CEO and co-founder of Eve Labs. It's indeed a pleasure being here as a part of this group, especially in learning from other startups and how they have scaled. That will help us also understand better and how to scale, especially identifying and seeing the strategies with other, how peer companies have used to take forward to the market faster. So to start with, I'll just give a brief about Eve Labs. We started in 2016, with the vision of improving patient safety and efficiency in hospitals. And this product was actually made as a part of a college project in NIT, where I had a bad experience with IV drips in a hospital. And later on, I started exploring that domain further. IV drips are one of the most, IV infusion therapy is one of the most common procedure for treatment, which is being done in most of the hospitals. And that's where I found a problem, and then I started exploring it. And we got our first grant from BIRAC in 2019, and we started building the product, post which we have done the product and we have put 13485 clearance for a facility to manufacture these devices. And during COVID time, we got support from BIRAC again in building the devices, creating an inventory for scaling and production as well as sales for the hospitals. And this is a brief status. I'll start with the problem. So infusion therapy is one of the most common procedures in hospitals. When you see it, almost all IT related patients, more than 90% of the patients, more than 90% of the patients who are in the hospital actually more than 90% of the patients who are in the hospital actually get an IV infusion. So out of these IV infusions, like if you go outside ICU, it's almost like 70% of the infusions happen outside ICU, and these are unmonitored because hospital can't afford to have an infusion pump there to do all these infusions. And that's where we have started working on a product which can reduce this problem further. To talk about the statistics, out of one out of five infusions are erratic compromising patients that can exceed in the hospital. This is a study done by NICE in UK, and the situation is even more challenging in India because of high nurse to patient ratio. And this also results in reduction of margins on hospitals because of bad patient experience and medication errors which are coming up due to mismanagement of infusion therapy. And the mismanagement, or improper treatment, suboptimal treatment in terms of IV therapy is usually caused because of reduced quality nursing time. And because nurses have to spend a lot of time in documenting, as well as they'll have to spend a lot of time in monitoring these IV infusions once they have set it up. So that's the problem that we are trying to address. So if you like dig deep into the statistics, every nurse checks an IV line 12 times a day. That's roughly 40 hours for a 500 bed hospitals in a day. And 10% of drips have problem related to flow rate error, cannula dislocation, backtracking incidents, and then interference by patients also. So this is like roughly 100 IV drips a day will have some sort of function issues in a hospital. So that's the problem that we're trying to address. Again, when it comes to documentation, every nurse spends like 30 minutes a day in documenting infusion related activities and infusion related documents. And this is like roughly 100 hours for a 500 bed hospital. And this is a product that we have taken to market. It's called Dripo. It's the first made in India handy wireless infusion monitor for hospitals. The nurses can take this device and then clamp it onto the IV chamber. It starts monitoring the IV flow rate and it sends the data back to the nursing station so that they can monitor these IV drips remotely from the nursing station itself. The data of these infusions gets logged in the cloud server so that the entire documentation of IV therapy gets automated in the wards. And we have a patent granted in India and we have applied to US and European markets. And like as I've told, the data gets like sent back to the nursing station. And from the nursing station, like you can monitor these status of each IV lines which are actually given up in the rooms. And the documentation, what is the medication at what point of time given and how much amount given, at what rate it was given. So these kind of data gets automatically logged in the system. And it also give timely alerts for errors, like say if there's an extravasation and all the rate changes, and it alerts the nurse right away so that she can correct it at the right point of time. And say in case of blockages also it gives an alarm. In terms of rate error, blockages and completion of drips, it gives an alarm prior to the prior to this incident, so that nurses can correct at the right point of time and make the infusion erratic. And we have installations in Believers, Regitra, Apollo, Rajasthan hospitals in Indo, Lifecare, Adarsh, mostly in South. We have few installations in North as well. Right now, we are present in 20+ healthcare providers. And we've saved around 12,400 hours of documentation for automated. And around 4890 incidents we have captured, including growths and rated around IDs. So these are actually unmonitored these days. I mean, like people don't notice it unless there's something to monitor these incidents. And these incidents can lead to bad clinical outcomes or other adverse. So, like we have sort of the first company that's actually monitoring IV therapy and creating the data out of it. This data that we create, like we give it back to the hospital, they can improve the quality of infusion therapy that they're doing in different groups. They'll be able to get insights on these incidents and like what was the actual rate set and what was the average error at which the flow was happening in different hospitals for the medications. So we give that insights back to the hospital, so that they can continuously improve their process and make hospital a safer place for IV. And some of the larger benefits, to brief out the benefits, Dripo is like 99% accurate in block detection, so it brings in infusion safety compared to manual method where you set the rate manually. And in terms of documentation, it creates an infusion chart for you which is fully automated, so the nurses don't need to spend time on automating those documentations. And it's super affordable compared to an infusion pump. If you have to set up an infusion pump for doing the same tasks, you have to buy a lot of infusion pumps, because like as of now, the number of infusions are way more than the number of infusion pumps that are available at the hospital. And it improves patient experience, and that's where I started working on this product, and it improves patient experience and safety. Because it alerts the nurses at the right point of time, so that even if the patient don't know anything about the IV or what's happening on the IV, like the nurses will get an alert and they can come there right at right point of time, and they can help the patients in terms of safety. So that's all about the product. I'd be open to any questions that you have.
So Vishnu, if I get this right, this is a flow monitoring device, right?
Yeah, it's a flow monitoring device.
Okay.
I mean, it monitors flow and then shows the nurse the ml per hour reading, and what is the amount of fluid that is infused to the patient. And based on that, it sends the data back to the nurse. It shows the nurse what is the time remaining for infusion. If there is any variation from the prescribed rate. Say during our clinical study, we have seen that, I mean, nurses set it at a prescribed rate, but while setting, sometimes the patient might be keeping the hand in a different position. And after that, they may change the position of the hand, and which increases the flow. So we have seen that scenario most times, which is mostly unmonitored, so which can cause issues to the patient later. These kind of issues can be rightly alerted to the patient, I mean, to the nurse side.
And what is the cost burden that you're trying to address with this solution?
I mean, in terms of like, we haven't done a proper study on the cost burden. I mean, in terms of capital cost that the hospital is saving in terms of buying infusion pumps, compared to that, like we are like 1/4 of the cost of an average infusion pump, which is like we sell the hardware at 8,500 to the hospital. And in terms of usage of other disposables, I mean, there is a disposable called IV flow regulator, which is used instead of IV monitors, which is used to set the flow rate. So that's like hospitals get it for like 10 rupees and they charge the patients 30. So that disposable can be completely taken off while using this device. Even if we go for a subscription model, even if we charge lesser, that cost can be saved per infusion on each practice. I mean, it's like, say, 30 rupees per patient on an IV flow regulator, which is being used. So, say if you take the case of a hospital like Ramachandra in Chennai, they use roughly like 1,000 units a month. So, which is like 30,000, of course, that they're spending on this.
Yeah, I'll connect with you and understand a little more about the business model here.
I mean, right now we are doing hardware sales, but as we move ahead, like we're building the data on the platform in which we can give back the insights and create more value out of it. And once we go with that, we're planning to go for a subscription model for the device, where we'll have device and everything, and we'll be going with a subscription-based model. And in terms of IV sets, also we have seen some errors with the IV sets as well, with which we are working on advanced version of IV sets, which can suit well with monitors and bring in that accuracy in patient pumps. So that's another model that we're planning to go ahead. I mean, IV set, which is much more accurate compared to the existing ones, which can bring the accuracy. I mean, there are two factors to the accuracy here. One is that you set the rate accurately, and then the second factor of accuracy comes with the IV sets. So we are working on that IV set part to increase the accuracy. And once we have that, we'll be able to get the entire system powered with a larger infusion pump accuracy, which can be larger value addition to the hospital.
Thank you.
So as of now, in terms of sales, I mean, we have been running mostly on grants, and right now we are planning to scale our sales team. In terms of funding, we are raising a small capital right now to move to the market and scale our sales team. So we have a sales team mostly focused in South Kerala and Tamil Nadu now. So once we go for this funding, we'll be moving to other states as well.
Vishnu. Hi, Dr. Subodh here. Two things. From what I understand, this thing can monitor the drip rate, and this can make infusion charts that yes, this drip went at this rate, right? We cannot use it to control the drip rate.
We're actually working on a portable version which can control the rate as well. We don't want it to be like an infusion pump. I mean,
of course,
we want it to be portable, and it needs to be used in the home healthcare aspect, because we see a large potential in the
because home healthcare is one use, and second is in pediatric patients, in children. Because in adults, it's okay if the drip rate is not as accurate. I mean, of course, it should be accurate, but in adults, it's okay if instead of 50, 75 ml is given per hour. But either in kidney patients or in these small kids, like a 2 months old baby, there it is really, really important to make sure that the amount of fluid which was given was exactly what was needed. Secondly, in small setups like hospital in villages or in small towns where they cannot afford like 5 infusion pumps for every patient, this thing can be a boon. But it is better if it either, maybe you can connect it with, maybe you can do a side cell of a micro drip set kind of thing, micro drip set, or this dial flow set as they call it. Maybe you should include it in the package, that use it with our IV set, and at the same time you can make sure that this the desired amount is being given to the patient, and it will make an infusion chart for you.
Right?
We're
actually working on an alternative for dial flow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe you can tie up, or you can sell it along with your package. Otherwise, there will always be inaccuracies, because see, every IV set is different. I mean, everybody is making IV sets, right? So if you connect it to your dial flow set or a measured flow set or a drip set kind of thing, then it might work better. And try to sell it to pediatric hospitals or pediatric units, because there it is the most crucial thing.
Actually, we have got most of our interest from
orders from because that is your 80-20.
And even in chemo we have got some interest, because chemo is another area.
Because in pediatric patients, either you should have an infusion pump to give like 15 ml of fluid per hour, or this thing can help. Right. Chalo, best of luck. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Vishnu, and I will connect you with Swapnil and take it forward. And now I would request Dr. Satya from Parshodhana. I request Ravi from Sterile Bio.
I'm Ravi. I'm one of the co-founders of Sterile Biosystems. We designed and developed an active environmental infection control system called Sterile Air. And as a company, our mission essentially is to make healthcare resilient against healthcare-acquired infections as well as antimicrobial resistance, which is fast becoming the next challenge that healthcare has to deal with. One of the very few positives that has basically come out of the pandemic is that it has made infection control a default. Infection control as a discipline was very, very specific and very, very focused on bigger healthcare facilities or well-funded facilities. But now everybody has access to it, right from healthcare settings to even homes for that matter. And when it comes to healthcare, right, so the entire infection control stack, if you can call it that, is being rethought. So the traditional approaches are now being augmented by advanced new technologies, which we've seen earlier. And for us, environmental infection control remains a major opportunity where technology can come in and overhaul whatever the defaults are right now. So, and those defaults today are essentially single-use chemical disinfectants, fumigation or fogging, which is used to basically disinfect ICUs or OTs, and UV light exposure, standalone UV lights that are installed, right? So there are inherent limitations to each of these options. And when we sort of mapped out a matrix where we took disinfection rate, right, whether it's an immediate action or a delayed action versus the way the product is used, right? Is it an episodic system which needs human intervention, or is it an always on system? So we sort of created these 3 buckets that we have from existing solutions, right? Which is, one is air purification, which is like an always on system, like an HVAC system, which purifies it, but the action is delayed because the entire air in the room has to go through a filter medium to get purified. And similarly, on the other end of the spectrum, we have UVC, which has an immediate action, but again, it can't be used when people are there, right? So it's a fairly episodic system. It can only be used during certain periods of time. It cannot be always on. So we essentially found like a sweet spot where we can design a system that can be an always on system, where it can be used even in the presence of people. And at the same time, it has a high kill rate, which can immediately, start addressing the pathogens in the room on an immediate basis. And we're happy to say that we've sort of designed our product to fit into that sweet spot. It's called sterile air. So essentially, it's a very simple device right now, which has a proprietary catalyst that we synthesized. Dr. Bhanujandra is our chief science officer. He sort of synthesized a catalyst substrate, which is a nanocomposite of titanium, where it is very selective to only water vapor in the air, which gets absorbed on the surface and gets broken down into H+ and OH-. So the surface does not absorb any other molecule. So we don't release ROS, we don't release any other allergenic substance into the air, which is normally found with other air purifiers or similar products that we've seen out there. So that is the inherent advantage that we have, and that is what we're patenting also right now. And so coming back to the product itself, so we have that catalyst coated on the walls of the product, and then we have a light source. It can be a UV based light source or even an LED lamp, and typical visual light can also basically activate the substrate to generate these OH- molecules. And we sort of release these molecules into that particular space. And the target that we want to have is around 200 to 300 parts per billion of these OH- molecules inside the room or any environment, so that there is a high rate of disinfection happening. So essentially, all these molecules, OH-, they basically bind with the surface of any organic material. It can be bacteria, fungi, spores, or even viruses like COVID, where it will OH- will basically go in and capture the hydrogen from the surface of it and completely oxidizes the pathogen into H2O and carbon dioxide, which is pretty safe. And we've validated the efficacy of the product across a broad spectrum of pathogens, both influenza and COVID viruses at the BSL-3 facilities of CCMB in Hyderabad, as well as ESIC, which has a BSL-3 facility in Hyderabad also. Then we tested it against AMR bacteria. It's a mixed flora of bacteria at Narayana Hrudayalaya's MSMC, where we tested the product over a long term, almost 6 months now, in their septic treatment area, where we were getting a lot of patients with septic wounds, where they have to either amputate it or treat it manually. And then we also did a clinical validation at Apollo hospitals in Hyderabad here, where we again encountered multiple strains of bacteria during our validation process. And we also tested it against fungi, including the mucor spores, which causes the black fungus. And we basically were able to get impressive results against fungi as well. And the method of validation for us is pretty straightforward, because we're looking at environment only. We were able to collect samples from the air and from the surfaces on different agar plates based on the media or the pathogen we wanted to test against. So this is a sample here. So this is during one of the validation exercises that we did here. So as you can see, we've basically collect environmental samples before and after, and we expose it for an hour. So this is after 1 hour of exposure. We were able to bring down the overall environmental load by almost 98%, 97% in bacteria, and almost 97% again in fungi as well. So this is just that. So this is just in the first hour. So we designed the product to be used virtually 24/7. And we did extensive animal testing and also clinical validations to prove that the product is safe. There is no physiological effect of these OH- molecules either on animals, where we tested it against rats and rabbits, as well as during our human trials at Narayana Hrudayalaya as well. One more interesting application that our science team has basically unearthed during the process was the effect of these molecules on water, right? So how does the product, is the product effective against pathogens in a water-based media as well? And interestingly, when we collected a sample from Hussain Sagar here, we found that there was a lot of contamination in it naturally. And then when we exposed the sample, right, we can see here, we exposed it to the sterile air product, just direct exposure, surface exposure only. And this was done for 3 hours. And when we cultured the sample after that, we found that post exposure, the overall bacteria reduced by almost 98 to 99%, which was also an interesting data point for us. So which basically unearthed a whole new vertical for us when it comes to implementing the technology or the product itself. And as far as the qualitative outcomes are concerned, right, so we've been able to deliver interesting results at both large and small facilities. If you take an RNF Vidyalaya, it's a fairly large facility. There, again, so the application was specific. We took a septic treatment area and we were able to drive outcomes. And in Medicover hospitals in Hyderabad, in High-Tech City, we went to the critical care ICU, which had a high patient load, especially during COVID. And secondary infections were a huge problem there because they were not able to contain patients or the visitors coming into that. So the assignment for us was to contain to essentially reduce secondary infections there. And third, in Ajara, it's a small hospital based out of Warangal. It's a new hospital. So there was no infection control team there. So we went in and tried to become like an infection control system out of the box for them, right? And one of the outcomes we drove was to contain basically an outbreak of Klebsiella, which was actually becoming a problem there. We were able to contain by virtue of just installing the product there.
Thank you, Ravi. Can you please stop on that slide or this slide?
Yeah, I'm going there. I have more detail on this. So
actually, Mr. Swapnil has to leave. So I would like you to stop here so we can.
Absolutely. So, yeah, do you want me to continue or do you want me to stop?
Maybe last 30 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Done. So in healthcare, at least we've been able to crack multiple healthcare chains, both private sector and also government right now. And the traction has been fairly good. So we've deployed over 300 units in ICUs and, operating theaters as well. So we're now focusing on new emerging areas for us from an environmental disinfection point of view. We're looking at sterile rooms in pharma. We're looking at water treatment as far as sustainability is concerned without using chlorine or other chemicals. Can it be an alternative to that? Then also in food processing, we're also having a new application there. Right. So the product is now going to be certified as a non-notified medical device. We are waiting the certification from CDSCO now. And we're also getting the product certified for FDA through the 510K process. And we will be focusing extensively on the international markets in the next 18 months. 12 to 18 months window is basically for that.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Ravi. So please leave this slide on.
Yeah.
So this is great, Ravi. What is the price point you are selling this at?
So right now, we have two business models. One is where we charge like a CapEx. So this is preferred by larger hospitals. So we are selling it roughly, if you take an ICU of say 1500 square feet, right? So we charge around 1.5 to 2 lakh rupees, depending on the patient load as well as the footfalls in that particular ICU. So roughly we can estimate the price on a square feet basis, right? If I had to bring it to unit pricing. So it will be anywhere between 100 to 150 rupees per square feet. The other model that we have is like a service contract that we enter into, like a recurring revenue model where we charge on a per square feet per month basis. In this case, we are charging around 10 to 15 again per square feet per month. So this can be a large hospital or any other facility also.
This product might also have very good applications in a lot of places where congregations happen down the line in terms of preventive healthcare.
Absolutely.
May not be your immediate focus area, but something to look out for.
Yeah.
Team, extremely sorry, my apologies. I have to step out. I've got a hard stop at 12, but I really enjoyed connecting with all the folks and reviewing some of wonderful ideas. I'll definitely be in touch and get to know more about this, and looking forward to have further more interactions. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All the best.
Thank you very much.
Glad to be part of this, cohort of innovators and startups who have significantly contributed to, I wouldn't just confine to India's fight, but the mankind's fight against a virus that none of us expected.
Satya, sorry, it's not full screen. Can you please make it full screen?
I have done that.
Okay, so we are seeing the full, means only 1/3. So I will share the screen and you please continue.
Please. So before all this started, Parishodhana Technologies, we have created the company with the aim to, innovate products that will solve mankind's problems with a primary focus on, health and wellness related products. Right at that time, we have supported around 200 newborn babies and then waiting for expanding the trials with an instant non-electric heating product. And then all of a sudden, COVID came and all our hospital trials were kind of in a state where we wouldn't really know what we're going to do. So with a multiple patentable platform technologies and products in hand, we had a challenge when the pandemic came. What do we do at that time? We wanted Parishodhana to be a company which is a problem-solving company. And then there is a problem at hand that we need to really address. But we have our other existing products at that time, which we also have to take forward. But then we felt a need very strongly, given the immediate necessity, how do we as a problem solving company contribute to our fight against pandemic? And then we started talking to people and we realized one of our mentors in the newborn health related aspects is Dr. Anup from Stanford University. In one of my calls with him, he said, Satya, in America itself, the masks are such a great problem. See if there is something that you could do. Other than knowing and seeing some doctors wearing a mask, I or my team hardly knew anything about them. We started looking at, for a mask, what is needed. We don't have any machinery, manufacturing capabilities. But, it's kind of a situation where we really want, I have doctors in my family. I know they were already suffering. And then because we don't have any protective face mask, what do we do? So what we have tried to do at that time is that we looked at what is that we have. We have a product which generates heat on demand without electricity. The material is packaged in a particular way where the liquids and solids are not allowed, but only air will be allowed. When we started looking at the requirements of N95 masks, what we realized is that you should not allow, a particle size of 0.3 micron, more than 95% of them should not be allowed in, and then it should have bacterial filtration efficiency and other aspects. So we immediately put together multiple permutations and combinations of the material we have in hand, tried to do some testing and, move to Citra, which was the only lab at that time. I'm talking about late March and early April 2020. Where the entire testing, no protocols, nothing was existing at that time. But thanks to your friend, we realized the Citra in Coimbatore can test the performance of the material. We immediately went there and got 4 out of 6 different models that we have developed have required properties. We were only testing the bacterial and particulate filtration efficiency at that time. And we know that for somebody to make an N95 mask, it needs a large capital investment. Lot of raw materials have to be imported. By bypassing all those things, Parishodhana team came up with a product which fits the N95 criteria as early as April 2020. And next slide, please. Now, that is for the medical professionals. But as we started learning more and more, in addition to the medical professionals, non-medical frontline workers and general public, all these people will start requiring the use of a mask when things start, the intensity of the virus increases or people start working outside. And there will be people who have to take care of their, loved ones if they are infected. For most of these people, our residential situations and hospital situations are hot and humid. We do not have controlled weather, air-conditioned rooms. So most of the N95 masks will be a major challenge for people to wear for longer time. And also there was a major production capacity gap, testing and standards. There are so many challenges at that time. Now, how do we bypass that? At the same time, one Dr. Chintan Vaishnav at that time at MIT Center and currently the director for the Atal Innovation Mission in Niti Aayog, I was having a call with him. He said, Satya, one other aspect that we should look at is that many of the artisans and also the weavers, they'll start losing their livelihoods. As we make the mask, can we do something to bring them on board and create a product that will also help create livelihoods for these people? So at that time, what we were thinking is as a face mask and an N95 mask, we said we will leave that on a side and pick up this N95 type material as a filtration media and integrate it with pure cotton sourced from the weaver. And we developed a training and QC protocols and started working with organizations like Seva based out of Ahmedabad, Abhihara based out of Hyderabad. They started doing our first prototypes and started working. Around that time, IKP, thanks to Dr. Visu and the team, they took note of the work we are doing. They immediately supported us as part of the ICO Fund Call 1. And eventually BIRAC and Grand Challenges Canada, everybody started seeing the bigger value. So what started as a simple mask kind of evolved into an initiative of Billion Social Masks, mentored by Dr. Chintu Vaishnav, Anup Rao, Anand Shivraman, Naveen Jha, and Ms. Foram Nagori. She later on joined the team from Tata Power Community Development Trust. Now the name, if you see, we call it SHG95. As very glad Dr. Manish Diwan flashed it at the beginning of this webinar. We named it on the name of the women that make this mask. That is a self-help group and of a 95 type of a quality. So we call the mask also N95 mask. And over the last few years, the impact that I would see from our team's perspective is when people were losing jobs, people was really struggling to get the livelihood. 140,000 hours of paid employment was created to women across almost 16 different states in our country. Around 500 female artisans were trained in quality protocol. Nothing was there. All video based. None of them were used to video calls. Despite all that stuff, they all showed such a resilience, these women. I'm so grateful to them. And, close to 600,000 masks were manufactured across. Over the time, companies like Legrand and Petrofac joined us through the Collective Good Foundation's initiative. They started buying masks from us and distributed. There's so many companies, organizations. You will also see an interesting pattern in these masks. The shape started evolving. So when we really started giving the product to IOC or to Chinmaya Mission in Boston, they came to know about the product. There were temples coming and asking us for making masks with their logo. There were companies coming, there were labs coming. It was such a enriching experience for us. Today, there are organizations like, Taj Dubai is very seriously pursuing an opportunity to give the mask to their people. Mask will be part of the life and people will be using. Those who respect seatbelt and helmet will continue to wear these masks. Now, what is the path forward? What are we trying to do from Parishodhana and Billion Social Mask is what we realized is, I missed that slide, which is here. The startups with technology, product and knowledge and know-how, if we can collaborate objectively with the artisans at the self-help groups, which is supported the way it is done in this case through blended financing or grants and CSR type of funds, we can have a unique business model encompassing a distributed manufacturing and collective wealth generation type of a business model, where along with the high quality products, we are also simultaneously creating a very well aware workforce. So we called it all these women together as a Atmanirbharta Ka Amrit Sankalp. They are all so committed. We are currently working with other partners and ourselves to bring in what will be the Billion Social Part 2. And we are looking for active partners to take this ahead. I should thank Dr. Visu and IKP for such a great mentorship. We had nothing in hand when they first talked to us, but they believed in and gave us all the necessary moral and financial support. And then BIRAC and Grand Challenges Canada joined this thing. And I'm particularly grateful to all the artisans from these centers. They had to take care of their kids, their challenges we don't even know. One point I would like to say and close this presentation is that in the beginning, we faced major resistance from these artisans. Some of them started quitting their job. The reason for them to quit their job is we were asking too much of a specifics and qualities. We said the filter must be only at certain height and elastic must be stitched only this way. It must have 100% quality, everything, even if anybody is making. So what we have done is, when the market was paying these artisans 2 to 3 rupees, we paid them 10 rupees per mask, like 4 to 5 times more than what the market rate is. And the result of that, today, if I go talk to these centers, as a result of this project, Tata Power Tata Power Community Development Trust instituted a quality team within their self-help groups. They are now incorporating quality protocols, which was not the case earlier, in the kurtis they make, the bags that they make, all the things that these artisans are making. Today, from a stage where they quit the project to incorporating quality principles in everything they do, is what is the very highly unintended outcome that we have actually seen this. Very glad, that we have been able to contribute to their livelihoods, and kudos to all these artisans.
Preeti and Dr. Subodh.
No questions as such, but such a commendable work. I think what we were discussing in the beginning, that COVID was not just an opportunity to do things for COVID, but to think beyond. And this billion social mask initiatives has created a pipeline for you to think of many such products in the future. So congratulations on that. And no questions as such. I really appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Definitely. I mean, making masks in COVID era is the biggest service you can do to the mankind. What do you plan for your future?
So currently, as I said, Parishodhana, just before the pandemic, we had developed a non-electric warm blanket to keep the newborn babies warm, especially during transportation. We lose a few lakh lives purely because the temperature of the babies could not be maintained while they are being transported. So what we planned at that time also is that the primary heating element is a technology and patent that Parishodhana holds. We will be making that heating element, and the external wrap that is used will be made by local artisans and the self-help groups. And these two will be integrated so that there is a cost model can be optimized and these babies can be protected during transport. Right. So we are currently pursuing at opportunities to do field trials. We have done a institutional trials after ethics approval at Osmania University and Nilofer Hospital. Close to 200 babies were safely supported. Right. Now we are heading into, hopefully with this winter, post monsoon and winter, we'll be doing real outside transportation trials, which was practically impossible given the first and second waves of COVID. All the ambulances and emergency infrastructure had to be dedicated to COVID. We are hoping in the coming months, we'll be doing field trials with NeoWarm. And the same technology we use, we support a lot of soldiers in the Siachen area now. Stay Warm is the product I was presenting earlier. And we are currently using the same technology again. When we talk to all these women, what we realized is that a lot of them go through, while menstruation is very common, many of them have major cramps, from high school girls all the way to women of the age of 40, 45 who are part of these self-help groups. They all suffer each month. And one of the reasons is the only way they can address the cramps is they eat a painkiller pill like Meftal or something else, and which has terrible side effects in long run. So we are now using the same technology of generating heat on demand, and we are in the process of deploying a product which will offer a discrete solution without any pills for the pain relief to women. And all the products that I'm talking about are all cleared by CDSCO as non-regulated medical devices. We are in the process of doing the voluntary registration. So the idea of taking a platform technology and building multiple products with that is our business model for Parishodhana.
More points I would like to make. It's not exactly a question, but a comment that they say in business, you should not try to make a product and then try to sell it. Rather, you should think of a problem and try to solve it. That's exactly probably what you are doing. I mean, great work, sir. Great work. Really impressive.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. And now I will request Abhay from TikTok too.
Hi, sorry for that. Thank you so much, Dr. Nisu. I'll quickly share my presentation as well, but I'm very, very inspired to be, listening to the startup journeys of founders. I'm very honored also to be here. Thank you, entire IKP team, to invite me here. I'll quickly go through the work we have done. So I work in the space of behavioral health, mental health. So our just to share some key metrics over the period of COVID-19, we've done over 15,000 hours of one-to-one counseling. We've impacted over 1 lakh lives, and we have good, decent ratings and reviews from our users. So I'll start with the problem first of all. In India, the major challenge of mental health resides around 3 key points. One is we have a huge mental illness burden. There are about 150 million Indians. These are by government figures, could be more. And the top two issues which our country is facing is depression and anxiety disorders. Just to give a context, it's about 2.5 times of that of diabetes, the numbers. The second issue is that we have very inadequate mental health care support structure. We have about 4,000 psychiatrists and 1,000 clinical psychologists. We do have more psychologists, but they're out of the workforce because of socio-demographic, socio-cultural reasons. And finally, even when services are available, the uptake is really low. And the reason of low uptake is there's a lack of awareness around mental health issues. There's a lack of accessibility. And finally, there's a lot of stigma we place on notion of mental health and therapy and counseling, right? Now, just to form any solution to this problem, you'll have to solve each of them separately. One is you need to start providing proactive care to mental illnesses. And like other healthcare challenges, you have to work on promotional levels, on preventive levels, and at curative levels. Secondly, we need to have a larger mental health workforce. The two ways to do it is, one is you have a bigger workforce, and the idea to do that would be if you can drive in the people who are trained in psychology to bring them back to the workforce, to the active workforce. And the second is to have this workforce with improved efficiencies. And you could use technology solutions to improve the efficiencies of the existing workforce. And finally, to increase the uptake of mental health services, you need to work at the level of awareness, you need to improve access, and you also need to build a safe space which is stigma-free so that people feel confident to seek support. Now, during the COVID times, a couple of observations I want to make at this slide is the mental illness burden suddenly shot up. Okay, and we could see people accessing the help. So we saw a dramatic shift right from the time Janata Curfew was imposed. The second thing that happened is supply side went down. The reason of supply side going down was many of the mental health clinics, due to social distancing norms, shut down or had reduced people coming in. The reason is generally, mental health issues take time because you have a counseling session which goes for about 45 minutes to 1 hour, and you have to do it in a physical space. So there was this demand supply mismatch further worsened. The interesting thing which worked in the favor was that awareness increased. People are much more acceptable to the idea of mental well-being now. And due to that awareness, also many government initiatives were taken during COVID times also, and even in the most recent budget, when a government telemental health network has been announced, mental health care guidelines have been issued, the online counseling guidelines by NIMHANS have been issued. So some of the things have been in favor and some of the things have been challenging. I'll now share the work we have done and how we are trying to solve this problem. We've adopted the primary principles of telemedicine to telemental health, frankly. And the reason I say that is there is a difference between when you talk to a doctor for a consultation versus when you approach somebody for a mental health support. The difference is that here relationship matters a lot when you're opening up to somebody. You want to hold the conversations for a long time. Therapy will work only over a longer period of time. Finally, you also want to talk to the same person over time. And then the particular issues need to be addressed with a person who is specifically trained in those sort of disorders. Additionally, language matters. I often say that, we think in our mother tongue. We might be speaking different languages, but we generally think in our mother tongue. And that really plays out well in mental health. The cultural significance is there. So the way we have done it is we have adopted a three-way model where there is a happiness coach and a therapist. Happiness coach is more responsible for building this relationship, understanding your needs, diagnosing the problem. And then there is a therapist who is the more trained person with the particular issues you're facing. All right. So this is done through a mobile application called TikTok 2, which is our primary product. It's more empathetic towards the demand side. So we started around 2018 building the product, but when we were about to scale up, COVID happened, and that is when IKP actually came in, and we had really challenges in terms of really understanding how this is going to play out for mental health and for the application itself. Fortunately, with all the support we received, we managed to scale up as well, both on the demand side and supply side. Coming further, the other innovation which happened during this time was now to assess that mental health is actually improving over time. We need to conduct things called psychometric assessments. Now, these assessments are usually pen and paper based, questionnaires. They could also be some digital tasks. And so we had to build this solution because not an app solution exists today, which we could have used. So we built it for TikTok itself, but over time we also realized that therapists and practitioners want to use it in their own practices. The newer things which are emerging in behavioral health are also associated to this. There are comorbidities of mental health with diabetes, with oncology, with dermatology, and it's a very cumbersome process to monitor behavioral health on the go. So we're working on API integrations so that these assessments can be initiated. The other interesting thing is also we're bringing in voice-based psychometrics. So just by the voice, you could predict the stress levels. You could distinguish between depression and anxiety. So those are the interesting things which can help integrate behavioral health to regular healthcare settings very easily without any manual intervention at all. Coming further, I want to share some interesting graphs during the COVID times now.
Abhay, may I request you to take next 1 minute to summarize?
Yes, just a couple of insights here, and I'm closing. So one thing which we've seen is like people do seek help in the night hours a lot. If you see 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. is the time when high amount of usage happens for the seeking help from a therapist, and which at what time you might not have a therapist in-person visit possible. Additionally, over the week it has been fairly constant. There is no. We were expecting initially that maybe on the weekend it will drop, but it doesn't happen like that. Finally, we've observed the top 3 issues have been depression, anxiety, and personality functioning. We've seen over 80% prevalence, and there's a lot of comorbidities between these 3 psychiatric challenges in themselves. Finally, this is a real-time dashboard. We built it to help policymakers, and you can see the worst impacted regions are Arunachal, Sikkim, and Jharkhand, and the best performing regions in terms of mental health scoring is Gujarat, Chandigarh, and Uttarakhand. Further details are available on research.tiktok2.com if you want to study gender-wise and age group-wise challenges. Finally, we've gotten to work with some amazing organizations. During COVID, we got to work with, largely we provided counseling support to higher education institutions through Ministry of Education. We also got to work with Department of Science and Technology's Kavach initiative, where we provided priority support to SC and ST groups with regards to counseling. Although primarily we continue to stay B2C more than B2B model. This is about us. I again want to thank the supporting institutions, D-Labs, IKP, and Kavach for supporting us. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhay. And over to Dr. Subodh and KP.
Dr. Subodh, you want to ask anything, or I'll go? I'll go first. Great, Abhay. Good to see that you've been doing it prior to COVID. How has your experience been before and after COVID, especially in terms of retention and completion of the counseling session by patients? Patients might come for one session and then drop out, and how do you bring them back? And post COVID, have there been any changes that you have witnessed?
So one thing that was pre-COVID was, I think the awareness level has really changed. Today we see much higher people, open to the idea of seeking therapy. And that has really helped the platform overall. Also on the supply side now, the practitioners who were earlier not willing to, perhaps come online and practice, they are much more open to coming online and practicing. The second thing which you asked around is retention rates. Now, retention actually, so the model which we follow is a happiness coach, which is the free part of the app, who makes sure that, retention stays. Okay. We have done certain more innovations like, automated assessments, which will get triggered. So, which is again free part of it, where you can help monitor objectively your mental health status. And now that encourages the user to come back if at point they start falling in the zone where, you need to seek help. So retention rates have actually improved pre-COVID and post-COVID, but I would not really attribute it to COVID only. There has also been certain innovations which we learned from the consumer and the behavior, which psychologists suggested us. it could be basis of that also. So yeah, I'm able to distinguish between what changed that. But awareness has definitely improved, like massively.
And how accurate are you in terms of early detection of depression and anxiety? How accurate is your
So currently the assessments which you use, these are all standardized assessments. These are not built by us. We have just digitized these assessments, and these are like, even Government of India uses it in the primary health service, the PHQ2, for example. So we use same assessment. So if you are anyways taking these assessments, you will be able to screen at early stage. With regards to voice-based psychometrics, we are still at early stage. We are just building the models. We are seeing early results to distinguish between depression and anxiety. There's a particular F0 frequency which changes if you are depressed. Like that distinguishment is there. We're still figuring out if stress can be measured. We have collected limited data. We're increasing our research pool so that we could, really come to. But I'm confident, like, we'll be able to, come at a good amount of accuracy with regards to measuring stress from voice.
Dr. Subodh, do you have any questions?
Abhay sir, just Abhay sir. First of all, really good work. Mental health was something which was ignored in India for so many years. Now, this is the thing which people should work on. In other countries, mental health has always been an issue, always. So first of all, really thanks to you, not congratulations, really thanks to you. You are doing real good work. Sir, are you working on suicide counseling and all those things?
So
it will be more of a,
so I'll tell you, like,
social work, but rather
so our one is like we are B2C, so primarily B2C model.
I understand.
Now we do get people are coming with
maybe along with governments or something. I don't know.
Now,
maybe it's providing your services through an NGO or the government or something. I don't know, because that is one thing.
We've been. Yeah, so we have approaching government also, but just to answer that point on sensitivity around suicide. So one thing is we get a lot of customers who raise the issue of suicide, and it is very important to build the right protocols in such scenarios. A majority of the users, like 99.9% of the users, are there who are raising the issue of suicide just as an attention-seeking behavior, and which mental health professionals are sort of they have to identify. Although it becomes challenges in online setting to actually identify if it is an attention-seeking behavior immediately. Currently, we are hoping the guidelines evolve further to address the suicide. Currently, the only way we can do is we get an emergency contact, we inform them, plus the psychologist stays with them. But we also have to issue a disclaimer saying that you should not be using this platform for suicide counseling. So there is a slight challenges with regards to guidelines on that. As soon as guidelines become more clear, we want to participate in that process. Currently, in certain settings, we provide an option of helpline where you want to immediately connect with a psychologist. It is not a moderated line. It is directly you're connected to a psychologist on an immediate basis, but those we do for limited groups. For example, for SC/ST group, when we did for Kavach, we definitely provided those lines. Again, when you have already an existing support structure where you're chatting and in conversation with the psychologist, the helpline is lesser used, as opposed to just having a helpline when you would really approach in a crisis situation and not otherwise. So yeah.
Thank you, Abhay.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, sir, please go ahead. Last comment.
Okay. So right now your business model is providing help to the patient directly, right, sir?
Yes. So we essentially
maybe you
allow
can plan to expand it to provide a B2B kind of model also, where there are so many NGOs who want to work in mental health, but now they cannot afford so many psychiatrists and a whole team and a setup of calls and everything. Maybe you can outsource. Maybe they can outsource their services to you with their branding, with their name. They'll still be doing the good work, and you're getting the money.
Right.
Just an idea, maybe.
Yes, sir. I think that's a good idea, and I think that has come across from other suggestions as well earlier on. We still focused on B2C, but I get the idea of going B2B in this. And as awareness is increased, there's much more adoption for these services.
Right.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you, Abhay. Now I would request Ajay from Docket Run to.
Hey everyone, very good afternoon to you all. Myself Ajay Kabadi. I'm the founder and CEO of Docketer and Tech Private Limited. We predominantly work on B2B space, where we are serving various B2B clients on retail, manufacturing, and building management system, where we help them on various compliance checks, standard operating procedures, helping them on various employees assessment tools, etc. When the COVID hit in, there were various regulations which had been created, where we had a lot of things which has been restricted, and that's where the challenge was for the B2B companies or mainly the factory floors to go through the various norms which was created by government as well as the mandated by as well. So we look for the social distancing, the crowding part, getting their employees lesser to 50%, and making sure their mask, the social distancing are well maintained. That's where we saw an opportunity, which led to a system that we built in. We call the system as TARC 19. TARC 19 is a system where you can see these devices which connects with existing cameras. The cameras were mainly used for CCTV or surveillance purposes or any theft purposes, but we saw a great advantage with our technology and the engineering experience that we have in, where these devices connects with any cameras. It might be of various analog IP cameras or of any brands. It just plugs and play. Even we can ship these devices, and any team can plug these devices, and which can help you in various health and safety part. Where when I say health and safety, it's right from the monitoring, the patients monitoring, the overall customer inflow monitoring, the patients monitoring, where you can check in the overall limited employees at various substations, the locations, making sure they are well hand sanitized with our various kiosk machine, which I'm going to share it in a couple of next slides. Checking their facial attendance recognizes system instead of the biometric system, making their temperature checks, provide them a touchless sanitization. And once they go inside the particular premises, checking the people who are not wearing the mask, not adhering to the 2-meter rule with the social distancing norms, people crowding at various locations, etc. We have created a great impact. First, initially, we started working with the Karnataka government, where we integrated around 345 plus cameras, where we aggregated all these cameras. And that's where, based on the ward numbers, we created a solution with the help of a foundation called as Find a Foundation, where this tool was basically helping them in these analytics aspect, as well as also analyzing in the people who are tested positive, the overall secondary connects what it been, the number of people who are in the quarantine basis. Everything has application level based on the ward numbers was provided, along with analytical system part of it, which was utilized, and that's where we were able to combat COVID-19 in a much better way. And this helped us to scale it much better with the business level aspect, helping the various industrial, hospitals, nursing bodies, dental bodies, etc. We have already partnered with a lot of people in creating the solution. That's where we created an impact, where this device is an easy tool where it connects with making sure that all their snapshot, the violation stores in their own premises itself. And that which is a cost effective as well as overall GDPR compliance and anonymous as well in alerting the required norms. We have been deploying this various kiosk facial, which does this facial attendance system, temperature and sanitization, along with the which can be monitored for doctors and staffs over there, which got replaced from the biometric point of view. And the patients was mainly into the temperature and sanitization before entering the respective ward section. We even deployed these solutions to factory floors like Tata Hitachi. That's a Kharagpur plant. And I actually we visited during the first COVID wave itself, visited Kolkata nearby Kharagpur plant, deployed the systems where they were running these solutions. And this was helping them on a much effective optimization of their overall workflow. And also deployed these solutions to educational bodies, found skilling centers like they find a skilling center where there are around 4,000 plus students going through the various the skill sets enhancement part of it. How our screening systems looks like. This is the first level of screening system. This is the first check which happens at the entrance part of it, where we have two options where staff or a doctor or an employee can get their facial recognition based check, their temperature check, and the sanitization, which you can see in this snapshot. And if he is a patient, as an example, we have this integration. You can see as a second snapshot of this image, which checks the temperature, and he takes the sanitization and go inside. This is the first initial level of TARC 19 system, which check the initial level of screening system. And any temperature rising, we directly alarm in over there itself so that the appropriate actions can be taken. Once they go inside a particular premises, this is right from the Tata Hitachi's deployment, what we have been done. A snapshot from a Harvard plant spread across where they manufacture various excavation machines, where you can see the overall snapshot, which triggers and snapshot these people who are violating it. And the in charge, as an example, the work lift area in charge gets this notification simultaneously to take care and to have these appropriate actions taken by. Where the red boxes indicate they're not wearing the face mask, as an example, as well as the social distancing part. You can see the red boxes. If they go with a 2-meter rule, if they are distanced very well, automatically these boxes turns green. That's how we identify the people over here. That's where we run this artificial intelligence model, which is powered by a vision-based algorithm, which shows in the capabilities of 2-meter distancing rule, the face mask, crowding, sanitization, heat map, etc. We did provide a lot of data algorithm insights for them, where on camera wise they can see the location wise, they see that which is a high rate ratio, where they can see a high violations happening, and where these filter options, we are helping them on various analytic purpose. This is how the analytic purpose looks like, where you can see the total overall violations as the respective flows. You can select in the date wise, check this data on the day-to wise, weekly wise, or monthly wise, how it's varying in. And you can go to the each individual substation. Maybe you're a midline section manager and you want to see your violations coming in. So this is how the report goes in. And the top level data, the top level visualization reports will go into the head management to see how the overall impact and how the overall violations were looking like, so take the appropriate actions. The sending of these reports automatically during evening around 5 to 6 o'clock in the evening, where these goes to higher authority to take required actions. This is how the couple of local government support that we are getting, which got published in your story as well as a couple of newspapers which got recognized with us on the foundation part, where we had the Responded Foundation as well as the startups came into this picture. And in just 48 hours during the pandemic, we took an actions in combating this part. You can see the 345 cameras were used as a COVID war room for this special purpose. We had a great recognition. NASCOM recognized us as one of the great AI-powered game changers in COVID-19 safety enforcement, which NASCOM we got also published in their various editions as well as a part of Innovator 2021. The thing that what's happening is we also have been providing these solutions. Now we know that this is a health and safety aspect. These extended versions are being provided with various factory floors as well, where also the safety is being constrained, where when I say safety, it's more onto the PPE kit. Apart from the COVID-19 norms, we're also checking their other safety aspects, which are being mandated by the various factory floors. And that's how we are leveraging in these post-pandemic options as well, where we are talking with a couple of plants as well. We already vendors for JSW, Tata Steel, calling another plant as well, where soon we'll be deploying these solutions for them, helping them more of COVID-19 as well. Also the safety point of view, on the health and safety point of view, right at the factory floors as well. We have gaining a lot of traction where we developing the similar aspect of solutions, right from the retail stores, right from the service stations, etc. That's it from my side. The impact that we have created during this COVID-19, during the first wave, second wave, and also seeing a great impact during the post-COVID-19 solutions as well. And I would like to thank BIRAC, and the overall journey was great for us and helping us under tough times by leveraging these solutions and helping them.
Thank you, Ajay. And over to you, Kirti and Dr. Subodh.
Great, Ajay. Just a little curious, are you going to extend to driverless cars as well, using your, just a little curious, later in sometime in the future?
No.
No.
Not soon, but we actually got we way too specific to restrict ourselves in retail, manufacturing, and hospitals mainly in helping these solutions. We'll go further with patient monitoring as well when there is no monitoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
Ajay bhai. Hello. Am I
Yes, sir.
audible? Yeah. Ajay bhai, what are the plans for future? I mean, this social distancing is not going to remain for a long foreseen future. Then what exactly are
Very
you
true.
planning?
Yeah. Correct. That's actually a right thing. So the COVID-19 implementation that we did, these factory flows gave us a good traction. From there, we are running on their safety compliances, like the PPE kits they wear the safety like helmet, the uniform, the hard jackets, and they are very. They need to wear the gloves where they have very sharp based items where we need to make sure that their health is being taken care of, because accidents will happen for sure in the major factory flows. So that's where we are working with Tata Hitachi on the next first. But that was a gateway for us to initiate these solutions. And that's how slowly we are going with the safety compliances, the vehicle analytics improvements, the automation related activities, where BIRAC's support on the COVID-19 gave us a good platform to engage these deployments and also take from this to the various factory floors as well. So we work with a lot of automotive manufacturing plants, steel manufacturing plants. COVID-19 gave us a good traction to rotate on the various solutions that we can provide in.
Thank you, Ajay, and thank you, sir. With this, I would like to request Predible team, Sutik.
Hello, hi everyone, and thanks for having me here. And I understand we've overshot the time quite a bit, so I'll try to keep it brief and quick and cover the work that we did over during the COVID wave. I'm just pulling up my screen. Yes, so good morning, everyone. My name is Sutir. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Predible Health. Predible is an artificial intelligence-based company that primarily works on radiology imaging. So we help build solutions that help radiologists report medical images more accurately and faster, so that they can cater to a higher workload without compromising on the quality of the reports themselves. Right, and obviously, for the reason we're here is we actually managed to play a significant role during the COVID wave. So to say that our software helped over 100,000 patients, 110,000 patients to be specific, during the first two waves of COVID. Over hundreds of radiologists, over a little more than 100 radiologists who used our software and platform to be able to report COVID scans. As you can imagine, during the COVID waves, all hospitals, diagnostic labs which had a CT machine, CT had become sort of an adjunct reporting modality for COVID patients, and these hospitals were full. They were doing 100% utilization, just one kind of scan, which is a CT scan for COVID-19 patients. And so all of these, literally every scan that were taken at these hospitals like Max, Paris Hospital, Kaveri Hospital, teleradiology groups like 5C were sending all their scans to do. We were doing anywhere between 800 to 1,000. We even had days where we were doing over 1,000 studies a day coming from all of these centers. And we'd process and send them back within 10 minutes. We also, because of huge impetus that resulted from COVID for adoption of our product, we also signed a distribution agreement with GE. GE is, as you all know, is one of the largest radiology manufacturers in India. And GE started bundling, our software with CT scanners, IT providers, any subscription, any kind of touch point they had with the customer, because all these centers are overburdened with COVID studies. GE started selling, promoting, and bundling our software with a lot of sites, which very quickly, gave us a quick growth in terms of deployments of our product across multiple hospitals and hospital sites. And so what is it that LungIQ actually does? So LungIQ does what is called as a CT severity score for COVID-19 patients. So every patient that gets a HRCT, the LungIQ algorithms, we use deep learning to identify regions of ground glass opacities in consolidations. These are the two key findings that you see in patients with COVID-19, and it generates something called a CT severity score. A CT severity score is a 25-point score that is used to grade the severity of disease in each patient who has COVID-19. Many of you who have had COVID or have had near or near ones have COVID, especially for moderate to severe disease, you would have come across this number. It's a number from 0 to 25, which tells you if it's less than 9, it's mild. If it's less than 16, it's moderate. If it's more than 16, it's a severe disease. And accordingly, you need to be admitted in the hospital. And what our software does is that it automatically quantifies this and generates a visual representation, a report, which gives you the specific percentage of ground glass consolidation. Consolidation considered later stage disease, ground glass is early stage disease. The exact 25-point score delivered, calculated quantitatively and not subjectively as what radiologists do. So it's a better, more reliable measure. And because it's automatic, it saves radiologists nearly 50% time. And our error rate has been clinically validated at Max and a few other hospitals. We have about a 5 to 6% error rate. So it's about 1 point difference of if the doctor says 18, we might say 16 and 17. So it's about a 1.5 point difference between what a radiologist would manually score on their own, right? And the reason why this is so important is because RT-PCR covers the crux of whether you actually have COVID-19, but for managing disease, because you have such a huge number of patients coming in, you need to know the severity so that you can accordingly triage patients. You can give the appropriate amount of care to patients. Should they go home? Should they be taken care at the hospital ward, or should they be taken to the ICU? There were also results of a lot of false positives that were coming, different levels of false positive for different variants. They're also coming, and CT started becoming an adjunct because of to deal with the false positive and diagnostic issue as well. But most importantly, the role of CT severity score is in appropriate management of the patient and sort of basically deciding who should go to home care, who should go to hospitals, and who should go to ICUs, right? And this sort of became a standard for many patients who were all asked to get a CT scan so that you could better decide what is the appropriate course of treatment for these patients. Right. This is whenever these patients scans came to us, our software Lung IQ would generate a one-page report like the one you see on screen. It will, and this entire report is completely generated automatically, right? So there's absolutely there is a review and a confirmation step that's required for radiologists, because ultimately the report has to be signed by the radiologist. But the entire process of quantification, giving you the CT severity score, and even automatically inserting these images of snapshots of the patient's lung, showing you those regions in yellow and blue, which are regions affected with COVID-19, so that the patient themselves, the doctor themselves, have an idea of how much of the lung, they can visualize how much of the lung is affected with COVID-19. This entire report is generated automatically, and and so you can imagine a diagnostic center who writes up a report in Word document vis-a-vis getting this report instantly, quickly, automatically made. It sort of helps differentiate their service even in terms of such stress and need. It helps them differentiate their service and provide a very high quality report. So our diagnostic centers were sending all of their scans to us and printing out these reports. Obviously, the Predible logo many times got replaced with their hospital's logo. Sometimes we added both the Predible logos and the hospital logos. But you had good visual, accurate, quantitative reports like this, which are going on to all hospitals and doctors, which a lot of doctors really commentate, because it sort of helped reduce the amount of subjectivity. Doctors had not really undergone training to use a scoring system like this, even though it was considered so important. And so we sort of helped set an objective benchmark to ensure that all the reports, the quantitative measurements made within an organization remain consistent. And the software was a cloud-based software, so there was no capex involved. We just took remote access to any computer in the hospital. We were able to install it on that computer locally, and that would just communicate with our cloud, upload all the scans, process it, and send it back. And we worked on a vendor agnostic, so we worked with all different kinds, GE, Siemens, Philips. It would work with any scanner and any IT vendor. And once uploaded, you would get your scan back in 10 minutes, but there is no manual trigger. So within 10 minutes of the patient getting the scan, the report would be ready. So by the time the radiologist actually opens the scan to make the report is already waiting there, prepared and ready. Right? So there's no 10 minutes of waiting. It's more of a 10 minutes since the patient gets the scan for the report to come back. And we were able to very quickly do this because Lung IQ is not a software that was generated or built just for COVID-19. We have been in the business of building solutions, especially for chest CT. Our product launched in 2018 was called Lung IQ. Lung IQ is a product platform that looks at multiple different conditions from chest CT scans, starting from lung cancer, interstitial lung diseases, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And we were able to, because we already had the platform built and we already were detecting multiple other findings, we were very rapidly able to scale to findings for COVID-19. As soon as we started getting data of COVID-19, we were able to very quickly iterate and build AI models that could cater to quantify and follow the guidelines for COVID-19. And this is all possible because we have over 100,000 patient images that we've collected from multiple hospitals, which we use to build a proprietary 3D deep learning technology. The software sells out on a subscription-based model. So we have monthly-based subscriptions, we have yearly subscriptions. We also did with COVID a lot of centers with pay-per-use model, where depending on the number of scans they sent to us, we would raise a monthly invoice and they would clear the invoice based on their usage itself. And the software, like I said, is cloud-based. There's no capex and it's vendor agnostic, so it basically works with anyone. So I mean, for the first time in our life cycle, in our lifetimes, we were actually making calls to diagnostic centers and hospitals completely telephone without even meeting them at all, which has never happened before. So we could just over telephone calls sell the product to them, install it fully remotely, and they would start using training also remotely, and they would start using the product for all the scans that would come. And the good thing is, even after COVID, we have other conditions that now they continue to use the software for. We continue to add other modalities also, not just CTs, but also head CTs is a product that we've also launched. And we have other findings and other organs also in the pipeline.
So Tirth, may I request last 30 seconds?
Yeah, so I think this is my last slide. I think, future plans ahead, we're happy to share in this forum that, it's not fully public yet, but I'm happy to share at least in this forum that we've been acquired by Inference, which is a Mayo Clinic backed venture. So we will start looking to take our products and as well build new products focused on the US market, working with such large key academic players in the US. And we've successfully exited all of our investors who've put money into us over the last 5 years. So I'm incredibly thankful to BIRAC, IKP, for actually having supported us through multiple stages, right from our seed stage, getting the BIG grants, giving us the ICO fund, actually investing in us through the MedTech Incubator program. IKP has been a pillar of support for us, and we're also happy to have been able to pay back our investors, even if it's a modest sum, and be able to exit sort of the company at this stage. So we'll be moving on to our next chapter, hopefully, and we're looking forward to it.
Excellent, and congratulations, and thank you very much. I request a line of comment from Dr. Subodh and Kirti, and thanks to everyone for waiting for 1 hour.
So Tirth,
yes,
again, great work you are doing. Few questions. Can you explain how the thing works? The CT scan is uploaded, or is it like sent from the console to your cloud-based system?
So we basically install a tool that we have built ourselves into any one workstation within the computer. It could be any Windows PC, doesn't need to be a high-end PC. And that local application basically will communicate with the CT console, or if you have a PACS, it will communicate with the PACS. And as and when new scans are taken, it will automatically detect that a new scan has been acquired. It will pull the images and send it to our cloud for processing. So the software basically, we use the DICOM protocol, and we communicate with the console to retrieve images.
Right. So right now you are providing your services to hospitals.
Yes, and diagnostic labs.
Yeah, I mean the places where they might have or they might not have a good radiologist. But it is not a B2C kind of platform. Okay, a person will upload his X-ray and get a report.
We actually did launch, just to experiment, a patient-facing portal where patients can upload their DICOM images and get a report, which is not signed by a radiologist, but is basically a preliminary report of sorts. We did not get traction through that portal. Basically, I think marketing for something like that and acquiring customers D2C for radiology reports seem to be a fairly tough exercise actually.
Maybe you can collaborate with someone like 1mg or NetMeds or any of these platforms.
Yes.
They are already providing blood investigations and reports.
Correct.
Yeah, some sort of product integration with.
Exactly.
Correct. Yes, that is doable. The other challenge is that the patients need to have access to the images in a CD, right? And in many cases they just get a report or they get a printout in a film, and if they can't give us the images in DICOM, we can't process it, right? We cannot. I mean, a phone camera photo of the film does not work, and because we need that resolution.
You need the original image.
We need the original DICOM images. So so the labs that are partnering should also, the patient should ask the lab. I mean, typically labs will give you, but the patient needs to be educated that they need to ask for a CD with the scan.
So yeah, it is a like 3-4 step process. The patient will take a CD, download the image, upload it to your platform, then you will give a report. But it could be marketed or sold as a second opinion, a second computer generated opinion.
So that is exactly the positioning on our website. We already have a patient portal on our website, but integrated with, you can upload.
Like somebody is not satisfied with the radiologist reporting his X-ray or a CT scan, so he can upload the images and he can get a second computer generated report for a very small price, like 1/5 of the price of his actual CT scan.
Yes. I mean, that is a portal we've created. I think the challenge is in marketing and getting the word out that such a second opinion platform exists.
Because
we have to further spend on SEO and get those leads.
I mean, being a doctor, I know that most of the patients they don't want to trust their doctor or their report. Yeah. They want they need a second opinion. They want a second opinion so many times.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
I mean,
and I think we will take this discussion offline and connect you both, sir. And thank you so much, Sudeep. And over to Deepanvita, madam. I'm very sorry, ma'am. Today I overshot my time.
I think, thank you, Vishu. The presentations each of our startups have done so well. I can understand how difficult it is for you to stop them. And congratulations, Tirtha. This is just wonderful. I think Vishu wanted you to present at the end so that we end with such a wonderful note of success. This I consider a fantastic success where your technology is appreciated in a manner that a larger company wants to acquire the technology to take it to their country. So huge congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sure as you go global, you'll also be part of the India story. It's not just you'll only serve that market and not be part of the India story. So thank you. And I must thank all the other presenters, thank the experts. Dr. Chaturvedi, we had not connected. I know Dr. Ambuj knows you so well, but I've not connected with you, or IKP has not connected with you earlier. Thank you and welcome to the IKP group as an expert. And we would love to introduce many of our startups to you and see how they can gain from your expertise and mentorship in the future. Thanks, Kirti. You are now with IKP to help us implement some of your learnings in Goa and other places. So with that, I would like to close the meeting. It's 3 hours gone and I'm not tired. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, everyone.